I'm muted. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is your boy, the Hip Hop Lobbyist. I'm back in my home office, and I'm just only being here for a couple of days. I got to travel this weekend, and I said, you know what? These past, honestly, couple nights have been a drag. I've had to travel back from Tallahassee to Jacksonville. Also, for a fact, let me make sure I get my basics set up. Hold on. Also, we finally wrapped up legislative conference. Like, listen, when we were here, I told y'all that I already closed out the funding for my Holocaust survivors. I had one more project for my youth program, the funding for our courthouse, and also a water project. I'll tell you this. The water project list hasn't come out. Our courthouse funding got cut from $750,000 to $375,000, but we still have hope it's going to get bumped back up to $1 million. And my boys' project got closed out at $250,000. That means that we've secured over $750,000 government contract with my client for the youth program to get funding from the state for mentorship. And it's one of, out of $100 billion plus dollars, they're only funding maybe 11 mentorship programs in the entire state of Florida. And I happen to have one of those programs, and I'm blessed and lucky to be able to move professionally in this political arena to do what I have to do. And I appreciate everyone who's tapped in the past couple of days to support the movement and make sure that, you know, we had at least, you know, some kind of support there. But more than anything, I appreciate y'all tapping in. Today's stream will be watching President Trump sign an executive order about EV mandates. Basically, a House joint resolution, going through the resolution itself as well, that they say is attacking California. It could be a Republican attack, but realistically, it's also a fact of some Democrats in certain states have also supported this resolution the president's going to sign. And it's to a point of saying, you know what, the EV mandate is a bit too much. It's too hectic. And my bot Rix is here. It's too much for the average person to actually it's too much for the average person to actually say, you know what, hey, we can have our potato farmers from Idaho and other, hey, live production, my man, we got to get together. I think I replied to your email. I owe you a reply either way. We got to connect, brother. Thank you for tapping into the stream. Make sure everybody, quick, make sure you tap into live production tips and tools. This man's page has helped me honestly grow my channel, monetize my channel from using Atom Vertical, OBS Studio, Social Stream Ninja, all the plugins I'm currently using on stream. I've helped actually go to his channel to actually learn. Hopefully we'll be able to do a show soon, a joint show to basically tap in and say, hey, how can everyone else grow their channel? Because, hey, my man, guess what? I'm about to get my first YouTube payout. It's only $100, but it's $100 more than I had 3 months ago and a whole nother revenue stream I never even thought of. But either way, I appreciate you tapping in. But to the main point today, we're going to be going through President Trump's press conference. That should be starting shortly. Also, they have a lot of governors that have sanctuary cities or sanctuary states, as they want to call it, that are testifying before committee. And also, Secretary Pete Hegseth is also testifying. Now, as you know, our last live stream we did for 11 hours. We had over 300,000 people on the stream, which was amazing. I don't know if I'll go the whole 11 hours today, but what I will do is flip over to President Trump. Let me get this here right. Hold on one second, y'all. We got President Trump coming in. Hey, man, thank you, live production tips. I really do appreciate that. Hey, I've been putting out work, man. I've been putting out work, so I had to hit the threshold more than anything. But it's worth. Actually, that last stream we had was amazing. Let me double check my volumes here. I hope my volume's not good. My volume's kind of crazy, y'all. Let me know. But we got President Trump coming in. Let me straighten my man up.
Well, thank you very much. I just said to Mike, this is fantastic. I didn't think we were going to see this coming for a while. Congratulations. This is a very, very important thing. Thank you very much, everybody. This is a very important thing we're going to be discussing. Please sit down. Thank you very much. This is good news indeed.
Appreciate you, live production.
People said it couldn't be done. You got it done. I just have to sign, right? That's very good. This is really something. And it has to do with the California Auto Regulation, CRA. It's been a disaster for this country. And I want to thank everybody for being here. We officially rescue the U.S. auto industry from destruction by terminating the California electric vehicle mandate once and for all.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add the actual language in so y'all can see it shortly.
They said it couldn't be done, but boy, it's had us tied up in knots for years. And they'd pass these crazy rules in California, and it would be 17 states would go by them. The automakers didn't know what to do because they're really building cars for two countries. When you have 17 states, you're building cars for two countries. And I want to congratulate you all, the Senate, the House, the whole thing. It's incredible. I was going to sign a executive order and give it a shot. But the one good thing with this, number one, it holds up forever. And number two, unless somebody votes it out, they'll never do that. And it's just so much better, huh? It's so much better. That's so great. Very proud of you. We're joined today by the great Speaker of the House. I think he's going to go down as a great Speaker of the House, too. I may be wrong. I may be wrong. Who knows? Who the hell knows? I think he is. And he's doing something, the only thing I would say is more important than this one, and I'll tell you what, it's almost close. That's how big this is today. But the great, big, beautiful, I added the word great, you know, I used the word. The great, big, beautiful bill. It's going to be one of the most, I said it this morning to a group, I think it's the most important, one of the most important pieces of legislation ever signed, ever approved. So it's going to be something very special. Thank you very much.
Tapping in for the stream today.
Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, thank you. Secretary Sean Duffy, and they had a problem in India today, and you're on that. Sean's doing a tremendous job. Secretary Chris Wright, everybody said you'd never be able to get him. He's the most talented man, they say, in the oil and gas industry. I'll let you know in about 2 years if that's true. Well, Doug Burgum, you know, I wanted Doug Burgum to head up energy because he was so successful in North Dakota. He's governor. And he said, sir, there's one person who's much better than me. I said, who? They said, Chris Wright. I said, who the hell is Chris Wright? I had no idea. Now everyone knows Chris Wright. He's going to be more famous than me. But he said, there's a guy named Chris Wright, and if we could get him, he'd be better than I am, sir. And if you know Doug, Doug's not here, is he? If you knew Doug, he's always working someplace. But if you knew Doug, you'd know.
Oh, it's not an executive order today.
And he did, and Chris,
it's
you're doing
actually,
great. But I don't like the oil prices have gone up just a little bit over the last few days. I was going to call it just really start screaming.
I'm pause the president briefly. It's not an executive order. This is actually a House joint resolution that was passed in Congress. I'll pull it up here shortly, real quick, so you can see it. Let me get this here for you. 119th Congress of the United States passes in the first session of the House joint resolution regarding California's mandate. So we'll get to this. I'm actually going to add it to the bottom here. Let me get back to the president so y'all can see him and get this live for what it is. Y'all came to see him. Y'all didn't really come to see me.
Are we okay? Nothing wrong,
well,
right?
You did. But if you did, make sure you like and subscribe.
Bit, right? Because we have inflation under control perfectly. You probably saw the records. Everyone's on television saying, what's going on here?
No
Trump
problem.
has proven to be right. You know, all of these things. We've taken in $88 billion in tariffs in 2 months. $88 billion.
It's not an executive order. This is actually a House joint resolution.
And if we're smart, there won't be. Now, we'd like to get this guy to lower interest rates because, you know, if he doesn't, we have to pay. We have a lot of short-term debt. Obama gave it to us originally, and Biden carried it on. They like short-term. I like long-term cheap debt. But a lot of the debt comes through because Biden, well, he didn't do it. I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. But somebody approved. short-term debt. It's all over the place, and it comes due starting very soon. And if we would lower the interest rates by 1 point, we'd pay about 1 point less. That's $300 billion a year. Can you believe it? 1 point. If he'd lower it by 2 points, we'd pay $600 billion a year less. That's for years, 10 years, 12 years, whatever we make it. But we can't get this guy to do it. And the fake news is saying, oh, if you fired him, it would be so bad. It would be so bad. I don't know why it would be so bad, but I'm not going to fire him. I just want him to, we call him Too Late, right? Too Late is his nickname, like Too Tall Jones. He was too tall, T-O-O. And I just say this because we want to get rid of inflation, and we have. But we're going to be paying more for debt. And all he has to do is lower it. Europe's done 10 lowerings. We've done none. And nobody understands it. Actually, today when the numbers came out, they were so good. You saw yesterday's numbers, incredible. No inflation. Today's numbers. Today just came out, same thing, no inflation. They're all shocked. All these guys are watching from Business, CNBC, and all of these different networks. Maria Bartiromo actually got it right. She's been getting it right for a long time, that one. I hope she's appreciated. And Joe Kiernan's been very good at CNBC, I must tell you, but other people aren't so good. But I will say that
my bad, I thought I might come pull up. My bad,
they can't believe what's happening. But if I could...
Hey, not the FBI. Appreciate you tapping in.
We've got a lot of cameras.
Somebody kick Antonio Giovanni if he's calling me a month. I know it's not me.
If we cut our interest by 1 point,
I know he's not talking to me.
For years,
Jocelyn, hey,
we save $300 billion. If we cut it by 2 points, we save, because it's pretty equivalent. We're going to spend $600 billion a year, $600 billion, because of one numbskull that sits here. I don't see enough reason to cut the rates now. And the problem he's got is that, and I explained to him, look, if inflation went up, cut your rates now. There's no inflation. We got it down. We got prices down. We got gasoline down.
No problem, my boy.
And you'll keep it going down. But gasoline's down.
So you see, this actually went through the process, and we'll show actually the bill that he's signing today.
But we're all that. But
hold on 1 second. I'm pause the president. I know y'all don't like it.
He was in my office a couple of days.
Well, actually, when President Trump gets done, we'll actually go through the House Joint Resolution, read through it, actually show you some of the Democratic members, because we know Republicans voted for it, but some of the Democratic members that voted to support this, and maybe some of the Republicans that voted against it as well, right? But actually, to the main point, actually showing you what's being signed. But this actually went through the process. It's not an executive order. He's not actually circumventing the system. He's actually going through the process to make this law. But here's where we are. Let's get back to Trump now.
Years ago, I said, if you think there's inflation, let's find out. Because I think we're going to keep it down. I think gasoline's going to be so far down. Oil, energy, it's so much energy. We have so much energy. I'm good, Jocelyn. I don't know what to do with it.
I did listen to Wayne's album.
Let's say there was inflation.
I ain't like it that much.
Now. Raise your rates. I don't mind. Raise your rates. I'm all for it.
Yeah, we'll edit the live chat.
I'll be calling you. He'll be too late for that too.
How y'all doing today?
But raise your rates.
The federal government, CC.
You don't have to keep them up here. If it's going to go up, I'm okay with you raising, but it's down.
I think because other states are implementing it, so that's the issue. They're trying to meet California mandate. But we'll get into California mandate as well.
Somebody said,
like what they're trying to force on other states.
That thought of that. I said, it's me. Unlike Biden, I stay awake at night thinking about how to save our country. He was much better at sleeping than me. Could sleep on a beach. He could sleep on a beach with cameras rolling. I can't do that. But I had an idea. I gave it this. This is really, we'll go short term for a year. Let this guy get out of office. Somebody will come in, cut it a couple of points, and we'll save ourselves $7, $8, maybe even $900 billion a year. What is he doing? Why doesn't he lower these rates? And with that, we'll get on to the California standard, which is a disaster, okay? So, Chris Wright, you're going to get the numbers down. Thank you very much. Lee Zeldin, one of the most important men in this room. He's the man. I get nervous when I talk to him. He's doing a great job. Nuclear, I say, okay, you can take 2 weeks for that approval. It used to take 20 years, then they wouldn't approve it. Now I say, Lee, nuclear, I'll give you 2 weeks for an approval. A coal-fired plant, you only get a couple of days. And oil and gas will give you a week, okay? Something like that. But he's doing it so fast, and we have so many plants being built right now. It's so beautiful to see. And one of the reasons they're coming here is because they have to produce tremendous, especially the AI, they have to produce beyond believable amounts of electricity. And they're doing, I said to them, I think this was more or less my idea. They didn't have the idea only because they didn't think a thing like this was possible. I said, as you build your plant, you're going to become a utility. And you're going to build a separate plant right alongside of it. You're going to build it. You're going to build a plant that produces electricity. And you'll produce it through natural gas, coal, nuclear. We don't want to produce it through wind because we don't feel like ruining 50 miles of beautiful plains and beautiful vistas. And but we want to produce it. You know, interestingly, China is opening up a coal plant every single week. But now I'm finding out it might be 2 plants every single week.
That's wild.
And, you know, usually that's a good gauge. If they're using coal, I guess we're supposed to use coal. And, you know, we went to a coal standard. And not that you have to use coal. You're going to use whatever's best. I want to introduce also Senate Majority Whip John Barrasso, who's a tremendous guy, doctor. Okay? And he is a tremendous guy, tremendously talented doctor. When I have a medical situation for the country, for myself, I haven't used him, but I might have to. Maybe I'll do that. If it's serious enough, I think I'd probably do that. But he's a tremendously talented gentleman who happens to be a senator and one that's very respected.
You're back to the chat. I haven't been watching the chat.
Chairwoman Shelley Moore Capito, and congratulations. I just endorsed your son. Did you know that? I endorsed your son.
Real quick, I think that the biggest thing, I'm reading through the chat real quick. I know Trump's rambling, so I can pause him for a second, right? And we'll catch up to the rambling. I think the biggest thing is the mandate of what the California law is pushing. That 100% EV mandates or EV sales, zero emission vehicles by 2035, and that phasing out gasoline and traditional hybrid vehicles. Like, that is one thing that even if you're a trucker or you're working in a warehouse, manufacturing piece, that's the part where it's like, listen, we love the goal of 270 million EVs being on the road by 2050, right? The greenhouse gases that'll be cut from that. However, it's the actual cost of, like, if we're phasing out gas and you're forcing every car, every vehicle that comes into your state, California, whether they're traveling for vacation or you're traveling there for commerce, if you're bringing commerce into the state, you have to have an electric vehicle. Talk to somebody who's in a warehouse who's operating an electric forklift or an electric semi. It doesn't operate as well as a gas. Now, I do get the part of saving the earth and the carbon emissions part, right? But I do feel like those goals that are there that are very steadfast and very focused, I do feel that a part of it is like it's unrealistic for where we are right now, right? Because honestly, for even those who hate Tesla, who hate Elon specifically, right? This would really only make Elon richer, right? So he would have to come out and have Trump in office, and then have an EV semi that they push out. That's kind of like this big old tank and Cybertruck, right? So it's a part of the mandate that California put in their state is impacting other states. And then there's 17 other states like Washington State, Virginia, Vermont, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania. Yes, I'm reading off the list. Oregon, New York, New Mexico, New Jersey, Nevada, Minnesota, Massachusetts, Maryland, Maine, Delaware, Connecticut, and Colorado, and DC that have tied into this, but it's not across the board nationwide. So this is more of a thing to say, hey, let's cut this off. On top of the riots in LA, on top of the wildfire, on top of the fact of other states are actually suing California about this, this is why it happened. So it's not the fact that states can't make their own laws. It's the fact of the federal government stepping in to say, hey, before this goes to other states that want to implement a part of this California law, let's stop it here. Let's curtail it here, because the businesses in these states will not, that the businesses that are bringing commerce and economic opportunity to these states will not continue to do business here. And guess what? We'll stop it. So that's that. Let's get back to Trump. But please leave your comments in the chat, whatever. Like to subscribe for more. I'm here for it.
I endorse your son, who's running in West Virginia, and he's great. In fact, he's all Trump all the time. I think much more so than you, actually. If you want. You were his largest impediment. No, I'm only kidding. He's all Trump all the time, and he's going to win big, and so congratulate him. Okay, he's really been fantastic. So many people have told me. Thank you. And House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, who's a brave man. He went through hell. Steve went through hell. And we have a lot of other people here that I won't be able to because they don't have your name.
No, not important. The caption is basically to talk about what I plan on talking about on stream.
Mark Wayne Mullen, Senator. Mark Wayne, thank you. Stand up, Mark Wayne. Don't fight him. He's a serious fighter in a lot of ways, and he's a great guy, too. Thank you, Mark Wayne. Deb Fisher. Deb? Thank you, Deb.
Thanks. Inward Mason. I agree
Pete Ricketts, who's going to do very well in the upcoming election. Thank you. Thank you, Pete. John Husted, who's really moving along in Ohio. John, good luck. You're going to do well. All endorsed people. John Curtis, who's doing terrifically. John, thank you. Good job. They all say excellent. What can I tell you? Good job. And Bernie Moreno, who won a race that was not winnable. They all said it's not winnable. He won in Ohio. They said you can't win that race. It's a waste of time. You're just wasting your time, right, Bernie?
One brother in the room.
Wasn't a waste of time, was it? Huh? And he won by like 5 points too. Won by a lot. Good. Along with Representatives Kevin Kiley, Vince Fong, Jay Obernolte, Doug Lamaffer, Daryl Issa. Where's Daryl? I haven't seen you in such a long time. Look at you. How good you look, huh?
Don't be rambling, bro.
Good when you have those big margins.
This is supposed to start 11. It's late. And my boy be rambling on these.
John Joyce, great guy. John, thank you. Thank you, John. Dusty Johnson.
Supporters, I guess.
Morgan Griffith. Troy Balderson. Troy from a place called Ohio.
Hey, Jason, I see you never had a problem with an electric forklift.
But then he got
truck. I've talked to people in warehouses that don't like it because it doesn't make it as efficient.
I haven't seen him used for years. I endorsed him early when he was early and younger. But you still look young, and you've done fantastically good. Good work.
I appreciate your insight.
Claudia Tenney, New York. Claudia. Thank you, Claudia. John James. John James. I don't know. You know, he's running for governor, but I'm not sure I'm happy about that, John. Do we have somebody good to take your seat? Because otherwise we're not letting him run for governor.
I have a lot of Mexican friends.
You have somebody good, right? Okay, as long as you...
Yeah, I'll show y'all a report when Trump gets done about
Tracy Mann.
the numbers.
Tracy, thank you very much.
Kind of make sense of the...
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Law he's signed the joint resolution.
Michael Baumgartner. Michael. Thank you, Michael. Good job. David Rouser. Thank you. Glenn Grothman. Hi, Glenn. Thank you very much, Glenn. Brett Guthrie. Brett. Thank you, Brett. Rudy Yackham. Thank you. Thank you, Rudy. And I want to thank you all. And there's some additional people in the room, but we have to get back to this. Is like so big. This is a big one. Under the previous administration, I could go point after point, everything they did, open borders, men playing in women's sports, transgender for everybody, let's go transgender. What a group of people you had over there. They must have hated our country. Under the previous administration, the federal government gave left-wing radicals in California dictatorial powers to control the future of the entire car industry all over the country, all over the world, actually. Because they have to build a car. They can't build 19 different cars called the same thing. And really, it was all over the world what was happening. They approved Governor Gavin Newsom's ridiculous plan to impose a 100% ban on all new gas-powered cars within a very short period of time. Think of this. You couldn't buy any other car except an electric-powered car. And in California, they have blackouts and brownouts. They don't have enough electricity right now to do the job. And countrywide, you'd have to spend $4 trillion to build the firing plants, to be able to,
Rockets,
they call it a
I
firing,
agree
they
with
call
you.
them a lot of things, charging plants, firing plants. $4 trillion you'd have to spend. In the Midwest,
I bet on
they
the
built
adjustments.
9 of them. 9 individual, it's like a pump. It's just like a pump, except instead of gas, electricity comes out. They built 8 of them. $9 billion they spent for 8. 8 little hoses, $9 billion. Now, I'm sure they could have done it for about, 1/1000th of that, but even if they did, it's unaffordable. They approved Governor
Newsom.
Gavin's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous.
Insane.
By the way, if I didn't bring the military in, Los Angeles would be burning down right now. It'd be burning just like his damn houses burned down because he didn't have the water that he should have had. He had so much water.
wow.
They have so much water. We had to send in the military to free up the water.
Wow.
And we did that right after the fires. We told them to do it in the first term. But just like that ridiculous plan, this is a plan to think of it, a plan to ban 100, and they call it the 100% ban on all new gas-powered cars and abolish 75% of the gas-powered trucks. 75%. The trucking industry saw me. They said, sir, it doesn't work. Number one, the trucks are so heavy. They're 2.5 times heavier than a diesel-powered truck. So one of the big truckers owns 28,000 trucks, big company, tremendous company. He said, I go out of business immediately. I'm not going to play games. I mean, he said, did you explain these things to the government officials? Like the truck weighs 2.5 times more than a regular truck, a gasoline-powered diesel. And he said, based on that, we have to rebuild every bridge in the United States of America because it wasn't designed to hold cars and trucks that heavy because the batteries are very heavy. They're, probably lead, but they have a lot of things in those batteries that weigh a lot. But it's 2.5 times. It's a simple number, 2.5 times. And if you want to do this, you have to spend trillions and trillions of dollars on rebuilding every bridge in the United States, and I guess throughout the world, because they do follow us. And the big rig buses and even cement trucks, they want to abolish certain categories of truck, but they want to go 75% of all of these trucks have to be abolished almost immediately. I mean, the time is just crazy. And they don't go far. Another little problem. With a tank of diesel, you can go from New York to Los Angeles if you want to go to Los Angeles right now. But New York to Los Angeles, and you can go back a little bit. With the electric truck, you'll stop approximately 6 times. Enjoy your stop. And the trucker saw me, and I said, "Did you just?"
It doesn't make it efficient, man.
Like, if you explain it, if a person's reasonable for that, he said, we explained it, they didn't care. They said, we're going all electric. They can't be stupid because anybody that can cheat on elections like them is not a stupid person. But they must hate our country. But I said to this big trucker, he said, sir, I've been buying trucks my whole damn life. He's a rough guy, smart guy. He said, I got thousands of them. I've been buying them for 50 years, and every single year they got better. They got more efficient, they got bigger, they got stronger. I build apartments in my trucks now for the drivers. I said, what's an apartment? That's on the cab, they put this in. And sir, I know you like luxury, but you wouldn't mind living in one of these. I said, maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. I mean, it doesn't sound too appealing, but I said, so what's the problem? He said, so I noticed one thing. For 50 years, every single year, one thing happened. They got better. They got stronger. They got more efficient. They got faster. They could carry any load. If we went to this standard, we'd go back beyond 50 years. They wouldn't go as far as a truck from 50 years ago. it would be too heavy and have all the other problems. He said, we'd be going backwards. We'd be taking a trucking industry, would be starting all over. But actually, it would be worse because it was better 50 years ago than. So I said, what are you going to do if I don't win this election? This was before the election. He said, you don't win the election, I'm going to close up my business because I'm not going to lose he said, I'm not going to lose my ass. I know exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be a catastrophe. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard. They're making you buy stuff that doesn't work. It's no good. It doesn't work. And I'm all for electric. If you want to buy electric, you can buy electric. Cars are great. If you buy the right ones, cars are great. And you should be given the option, buy the electric car, buy a gasoline-powered car, buy a hybrid. Probably not hydrogen, because hydrogen has a tendency that when it blows up, you're gonzo. It's over. They find you 75 yards down the road, you know. Where is he? Well, I think that's him, but I'm not sure. So, you know, they said, we think we can solve the problem. I said, that's not good enough when they think. No, it sounds like it's quite severe. If it doesn't work, Steve, it'll work most of the time, but if it doesn't, it's over. It'll make your accident look like peanuts compared. You wouldn't be around, I'll tell you, because it's pretty bad. But some people like it. I don't know. Let's see what happens. But I would say it's off to a bad start. But because of the size of California's population and the fact that 17 other states follow California, that's the problem. 17 other states follow California.
Hannibal, they're also $800 million in debt, but that's a whole other conversation.
For a lot of things. This is just cars. But
hey, Anthony.
They have a lot of them for other things. But
I can't translate that, but appreciate you being here.
California car standards. And this horrible scheme would effectively abolish the internal combustion engine, which most people prefer. Like so far, I'd say about 90%. In fact, General Motors announced yesterday they're going to spend about $6 billion on, because of tariffs, and maybe because of my election on November 5th, but because of tariffs, I think, more than anything. They're all coming back. They're coming back from other countries that took them 25, 30 years ago. They're all coming back. We have now almost $15 trillion. They had almost nothing last year, and the year before, they've very, very little. Nobody wanted to be back here. Nobody wanted to come to our country anymore because we were like stupid people. We looked like stupid people. We were laughed at all over the world. Now we're not laughed at anymore, I can tell you that.
Yeah, Hannibal, they have an $800 million budget shortfall in California.
Domestic supply chains and literally grind civilization to a halt. We would have gone so far back. It's hard to believe, actually. Hard to believe when you don't have enough electricity to give a person a little air conditioning in the summer, and now they want you to take electricity and fire up all these cars. But we're not going to let that happen. Meanwhile, all of the auto jobs.
Hold on, I'll just pause this briefly just to get it over here so y'all can see it. I was wrong. California actually has a $12 billion budget shortfall projected this year. So it's not $800 million. I know someone in the chat said they passed Japan for fourth largest economy, right? But their state assembly, the state of California right now, has a budget shortfall of $12 billion. I thought it was $800 million. Maybe $800 million was last year. It's $12 billion right now. So that means that they need to reprioritize what's happening in the state on top of the fire, on top of the riots and protests, on top of everything there to make sure education, elderly, police, fire, local governments. And that's why you have some conservative cities actually taking over in California right now because they don't like the way it's going. So every fire that's happening whatever's happening there is not really helpful to the whole narrative. But I want to share that. Let's get back to President Trump. I just want to at least clarify the narrative about, they have a large economy. Yes, their economy may be better than Japan's, right? However, they're in some debt over there, okay? So let's get back to Trump.
Jobs would be shipped to China because they're very strong on electric. And it lives off an estimated 200,000 American auto workers would be destroyed. It's one of the reasons I did so well with the United Auto Workers. And now I'm really doing well with them.
Now look at GDP. I'll pull up GDP next.
Republican ever got any numbers like I got? The
Teamsters. I want to have conversations. All right, cool. How about you look up GDP on your train?
Because I produce jobs. They know that. Everybody knew that the auto workers knew better than anybody how good the tariffs were. And the head of the autobreakers, I don't know him at all, but he,
Respectfully, because it was asked in the chat, and I'll respect the chat. I respect the chat. The GDP is 4.1 trillion, right? So even though they have a global impact for the global domestic product of 4.1 trillion, when it comes to actual services that they're providing the citizens in the state of California, on top of illegal immigration, on top of fires, on top of Hollywood, on top of entertainment tax credits, on top of education, roads, healthcare, they're $12 billion short. So even though they have a great GDP, they don't have the money right now to pay for the services. Right now, they need a lot of it from the federal government, a lot of it from other areas, but also Gavin Newsom plans on suing the president. So guess what? He's going to prioritize having money for their lawyers to sue the federal government while also having to deal with prioritizing the basic needs and essentials that they need in California. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you. On top of the billion homeless. Yeah, nothing for the homeless. So let's get back to President Trump. I respect the chat. The chat respects me, hopefully. Like and subscribe. Let's get back to the president.
he didn't like me at all. Now he's going around saying, this guy's unbelievable. He was very nice to me the last few months. During the campaign, no, but if I've proven, I've proven it. I've done what I said I was going to do, and we've brought back tremendous numbers of jobs. And you're having auto plants built all over the country, all over. There's never seen anything like that. They're leaving from Mexico. They're leaving from Canada. They're leaving from other parts of the world. If they want a Mercedes-Benz, you're going to have it made here. It's okay to have a Mercedes, but they're going to make it here. Otherwise, they're going to pay a very big tariff. They already are. That's one of the reasons we have $88 billion. It's a lot of money.
I got to find the city. Hold on.
We're going to be making it in another few months. They haven't even kicked in yet. But we're not going to let any of these bad things happen, these stupid projections that I've been reading about for the last 6 months. I think these people are either corrupt or really dumb. And they're supposed to be economists. In the campaign, I promised to end this disaster, and today our Republican majorities in Congress have delivered. And I don't know, I can't imagine. It's so obvious. It's so good. Did we get any Democrat votes? Did we get one? Two? Who?
I'm trying to find the city. I read the article. I'm going to get to that question about which city or county the Republicans taking over in. But let's get back to the president for now.
That is
I'm going to find it, though.
One in the Senate.
Appreciate y'all tapping in.
On something that's so good. But who is the one? Well, I shouldn't have asked.
Compared to any red states.
I congratulate her. I don't care. I think it's...
Real quick, I'm reading through some of the chat, and I just want y'all to know how some of the... I understand a lot of people go off GDP, right? If that's for... Think about it. If that's... Let's say that's $4 trillion tax money coming in, right? Hypothetical numbers. Because it's not all tax money coming in, right? If it's $4 trillion tax money coming in, and there's still $12 billion in debt, that's not good business. Let's leave it there. What I get is a lot of times, and I'm a Democrat, so don't get it twisted. I'm a Democrat. I'm not a black Republican. I'm a Democrat. I elect Democrats. I work with Democrats, but I'm also a lobbyist in the great state of Florida, so I'm bipartisan. Not bisexual, bipartisan. But the point of what I'm saying is, you have to have the money to pay for it. So even if you had $4 trillion coming in of cash and you're $12 billion in the hole, that means that you didn't prioritize what's out there. So somebody said, oh, that doesn't mean anything. It means everything. It means everything when you're prioritizing the issues that you have in your state. Because when your nonprofits are going to the state to get funding or get help or whatever it may be, the state don't have the money for you. Let's get back to the president. Y'all distracting me, boy. We'll get back to the comments. I'm gonna make a note of this.
Very interesting.
I'm making a note of this. It's lunchtime.
What did I
What do y'all
ask
eat
that
for lunch
question,
today?
Mr. Smith? But in a few moments, I'll sign 3 pieces of legislation that will kill, totally kill. You can't do anything about it. They can't take us to court. They can't do any of the things they can do with the executive orders. And it's permanent.
Hey, Vanders, appreciate the love from Scotland.
Legislation that will kill the California mandates forever, and they're never coming back. Now, the auto companies are the most happy because now they're going to be designing and building one auto. It will be much cheaper. It's a much less expensive. They were showing me, one of the most respected people was showing me that to save a little, like a half a glass of fuel, cost them thousands of dollars with new computers and stop it. The engine has to stop and then turn on and blah, blah, blah. And I said, does it work as well? No, it's terrible. It's terrible. And that's to save a little bit of fuel, this much fuel that Chris Wright can produce with one extra little oil well someplace, right? One little, a small one, a very small one. But think of it.
Ocean Breeze, you're
Cars are
tripping.
going to cost you $3,000, $4,000 less.
Yeah, John, thank you. What's supporting? I'm in Florida.
And again, you can get
FAFO.
anything you want. You can get electric. A lot of people love the electric. They like Tesla. So do I, in all fairness. I like Tesla. And I like others too. But I also like combustion engines. And there are reasons for a lot of things. When I was in Iowa, we had an unbelievable victory, if you remember. Remember? That was nice. You won by like so much, nobody even talked about anything else. But that was a great victory. But it was unbelievably cold that night. And I was going to watch my victory in the area where I was going to make a speech. And the whole place was littered with cars. I said, what happened? They were electric cars, and they don't work in cold. I said, I didn't know that. And they don't work in extreme heat either. Other than that, they're wonderful. But
Thank everybody for voting.
but if you're in a cold climate, how do you do that? But they're electric cars, and I noticed that, and then I didn't pay much attention because we won by about 65 points. So I was more interested in that. But I do remember that scene. I said, what the hell is going on over here? This historic action will also help us reduce inflation and bring down the price of automobiles and electricity very, very substantially. We're building massive electricity right now. It's already started because of that guy right there, Lee Zeldin. By far the most important man in the room, Mr. Speaker. Stand up, Lee. He blows you guys away, John. He blows the politicians away. I'm sorry right now. He's a great politician. He almost won for governor in New York, which is just missed by a few points. And that was another race that was not winnable, but you almost got
Hey, get a job. I
think what
appreciate
you're
you
doing
for
now is
stepping in.
bigger
Please
if you
stay up,
wanna know
man.
the truth. I think it's actually more important if you can believe that. Under the previous regime, car prices skyrocketed as a direct result of the mandates. These mandates.
Ocean Breeze, I agree with you. Hold on.
There's so many other.
I hate cutting the president off. Ocean Breeze, I agree with you. I'm actually the legislative chair for Energy Association in Florida, the third largest state in Florida. I do, and I'm not speaking for the organization. That's why I didn't name them. However, I do believe there's economic opportunity in the Green New Deal and things of that nature. However, it's the cost of that, because a lot of it is, respectfully, investors. Investors want to hear about what you're doing to make green and efficient stuff that's happening. But from the other side of the aisle, it's more costly. That's why you have a lot of energy companies that are providing these manufacturers or homes or different things of that nature, weatherization. That's why they'll go under the hood and say, you know what, we can weatherize your grandmother's home and put them in a PACE program, performance assessed clean energy, and say, you know what, we can come through and put new windows in, put new roof in. And guess what? We can do with solar panels and all. And we do all these things, and you don't have to have any upfront costs. But what happens is somebody pays. You know who pays? Basically, when you go to sell that house, they get first dibs on all your equity, all this improvements you made on your house. And guess what? Some of that rolls over in your taxes in certain states, or certain localities will determine that. So yes, there is a lot of job paying and high energy jobs. Guess what? The people coming through to put weatherization or new windows in your grandmother's home, yes, they're getting paid great. But guess what? They're getting paid now, but your grandmama them gonna pay for, or you gonna pay for it when you decide to sell the house when she passed away, respectfully, right? That's the thing that people aren't accounting for. Is like, you know what? Yes, it sounds great, but the investment side of what we're talking about is that, yeah, we're going to run up in the stock market. We're going to do this for Green, Georgia Pacific and other places. But then when they end up shutting down plants because they're not green, now you have local communities that can't sell their lumber to Georgia Pacific anymore. Then that economy hurts, right? So while you created maybe 4 or 5 new jobs by shutting down a plant in certain areas for high-tech green new jobs, you're also hurting that local economy now that's actually used to having a certain amount of profit for the local businesses come through. But this Green New Deal ended up hurting a lot of these rural areas, certain parts of the country, not everywhere. But I just wanted to share that with you. Let's get back to Trump.
The rules and regulations that the car companies who are here today appreciate that. And Susie Wiles is here today. Stand
My
up,
girl, Susie Wiles.
Most incredible woman.
I'm
Most
a
powerful
Democrat, but
woman
that's my
in the
girl.
world, they say. She's the most powerful. She was rated the most powerful woman in the world. Susie Wells. One phone call and a nation is destroyed. She could destroy 5 nations with 5 calls. And she's doing a great job. More importantly, right? Doing a great job. There's nobody like her.
Best of the best, man. I respect the hustle.
Energy
You gotta respect the
prices
hustle
would
more than anything.
likewise soar as a radical left forced more electric vehicles onto the grid while blocking approvals for new power plants. They want to block the approvals. They want you to have a car with electric, but they block
Radu, I do think it is.
the juice that runs the cars.
Let me pause the president to this question. Thank you for adding me directly. I do think this is in 2 aspects. One, it helps at least free up the grid, like the president just said, because now we're to a point of, let's say Amazon. Amazon built out a facility. They're putting all this new electric forklifts, electric vehicles on the grid. Boom, we're putting a strain on the grid, right? Now it's basically saying, listen, we're going to remove this strain off the grid, so you don't have to put all these EVs back in, but it also frees up the grid for AI, because you need AI on the grid in order to basically have ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatever AI you use, Canva could be included, have it up to date. So there's a part of let's free up the grid so we can catch up on AI, because even though we may have the most gas production, we don't have a grid between the investor-owned utilities, municipal-owned utilities, co-ops, and all these other branches of utilities that end up being owned by federal government like TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority, or some others. There are different things. So I do think it's good for the dollar, but it also helps us to expand our energy base, or at least diversify it. So instead of us just focus on electric vehicles and that part, now we can focus on AI. So it is diversifying the grid. However, even with EVs, and I've said this before, the biggest problem with EVs are the size and weight of the batteries, right? So the batteries end up, because in certain states they're not paying gas tax because they're charging up electrically. When you pay the gas tax, you're basically investing some in rebuilding your roads, right? I know I'm going on a little tangent here. So you're investing some in building your roads, but also when you have these EVs, they're not contributing to the gas tax. They're still destroying the roads because they're heavier vehicles on the road. Case in point, that's why you have a lot of people in their businesses go buy a Tesla or the G-Wagons, the heavier trucks, right? Or heavier cars. So the Tesla will fit into that. But that's kind of why when it breaks down the battery part and destroying that, that's another thing. So there is a part of, yes, it's helpful, but it can also be how you look at energy. From an investor standpoint, you could look at it like, you know what, we invested millions into Green New Deal, green energy, and now it's going away. There's something in the tax plan that could benefit them, right? From other investments, like giving to charter schools or private schools, however. But it depends on how you look at it. My perspective, I'm trying to be neutral, and at least be have an educational standpoint for what I know. But also at the same time realizing that California did force the hands of a lot of other states, conservative really, to say, hey, if you want to do business here, it's got to be an electric vehicle, no gas. And that's kind of the domino effect of how we got here. But more than anything, please make sure you like and subscribe. Let me get back to President Trump here. I'm going to read through the chat. Radu, I hope I pronounced your name right. Thank you for the question. Please send more questions. I'm going to put another poll in shortly. We had about 74,000 people tap in, about 800 of y'all here now. Thank you. Get back to the president.
All of them, all forms of cars. It's just the craziest thing. We're in a different sphere now. We're in a whole different.
I'll find that article actually living and share it here.
The rolling blackouts and a collapse of our power systems. We'd have a total collapse. You couldn't do it.
I'm getting some questions. I got to
think of it there.
Pause the president again. Do I think AI is a danger? I think it is for the next generation. My son's 3. I think that by the time in the next 10 years, it'll be crazy to see where AI will be. I'm not saying like iRobot, but I do think that it is kind of dumbing our kids down, because we've kind of seen what technology has done with iPads and iPhones and things of that nature. It's helping them, but it's also slowing down some of them because, they don't write in cursive these days. So I do think that there's some good and bad parts, but it has to be curtailed. There is some danger in it. I do think that from a safety standpoint, but also, can we really trust the computers? Other question I got, what were you saying about the Idaho farmers? I'll get there. Let me get back to the president. I'm going to pull the article up. Cynthia, thank you for tapping in. No, same nonsense in New York. Well, you're tapping in from New York. I appreciate you tapping in. Makes call 23.
Forcing you to do something, and they want you to do boats also. I assume boats are being covered by this, and boats, they want you to go all electric, and the batteries are so heavy, the damn boat practically doesn't float. I used to have a lot of fun talking about that one on the tours. We'd talk about it. And I said, what would happen if the boat sank? Because we went to North Carolina, South Carolina. We visited boat factories. Unbelievable guys. And they said, I said, how's it going to work? The boat will not float, sir. It's so heavy, and it won't go fast, and lots of other. And I did ask him a question, because I have a lot of background. My uncle was a big shot at MIT, the smartest guy. He never had a smarter guy. And I guess I have a little of that. My first question was, what would happen if the boat sank? Do you get electrocuted? Remember I said that? And I used to be decimated by these people back here, right? I used to be decimated. They'd say, what kind of a crazy question is that? So I'm actually serious. What happens if you're in an electric boat and the boat is going down? You're in trouble, Susie. And I used to say, remember, I'd get decimated. The audience loved it, but the press would laugh at it. I said, so if I have my choice of going down or jumping 5 or 6 yards away from the boat, but there's a shark there, what do I do? You know what I said? I'd rather be electrocuted. I said, I'll take electrocution every single day. But actually, he said, nobody's ever asked me that question, sir. He makes boats. Nobody ever asked me that question. This is really an unusual question. He said, and honestly, I don't have the answer. He wasn't able to. I said, don't worry about it. If I win, you won't have to worry about it. But today we're saving California, and we're saving our entire country from a disaster. Your cars are going to be thousands of dollars less money. And even the ones that, if you buy electric, we're not going to.
I have the Idaho article up. I'm going to let the president speak, then I'll bring it back up. I kept interrupting
time-consuming waste of money.
press
They
conference.
make you do things that are no good for anybody, make the car worse, and make it much more expensive. Over the past 5 months, our administration and Republicans in Congress have fought for the American auto worker and for Teamsters and for, by the way, right to work. We have them all.
Hold on, I got a potential subscriber here. Chad asked, before I subscribe, are you pro-Trump or no Trump? I'm pro-American people. All right, I'm not anti-Trump. I'm not pro-Trump. I'm pro the American people actually getting out of the narrative of what the right pushes to say that, you know what, the left is a problem, and what the left pushes is nothing but fear. What I like to do is educate people about the process, because guess what? I was an unpaid intern, fired from my job my last semester in college when I took an internship in Florida's capital to learn the legislative process. 15 years later, I'm one of the top legislative minds in the state. Yes, there's 60 black lobbyists in the state. There are 23 million people, but only 1,600 people do this. And again, 60 of us are black that do this. And I'm one of those ones that do this. So guess what? I'm not pro-Trump. I'm not anti-Trump. I'm pro the American people, because when I was 13, my mom told me I had to go out and get a job to make sure that I could put clothes on my back and feed myself during lunch when I was going to school. Yes, 13 years old in high school. So I took a job as a bag boy at a local grocery store to help support myself. And guess what? I try to pull myself up for my bootstraps. I work overnight at the daycare. I've worked work study. I've worked overnight at Target. I've done a little bit of everything. Valet, hotel work, you name it, I've probably done it. Waiter, whatever, right? Deliver pizzas, yes. But I understand people. And my biggest thing is understanding that the narrative that Republicans and Democrats push out on people is not great for the American people, because we're not educated about anything outside of the narrative. So I've helped create this channel, help grow this channel, to say, you know what? Bring the Trumpers in. Bring the AOCs and the burners in. Let's talk about a living wage, and let's talk about no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. And let's have a real conversation that educates the American people about what is really out here. Because guess what? I asked a waiter the other day if he would prefer no tax on tips or a living wage, and he told me a living wage, but then he couldn't tell me how much a living wage would actually be. Maybe $3 more than he makes right now. Guess what? That's not a living wage, young man. So I want to help educate people. So make sure, Chris, if you are considering subscribing, or anyone else, make sure you like and subscribe, because guess what? I'm probably one of the realest that you'll know. And you can probably go ask any elected official in the state of Florida who's probably the realest. Ron DeSantis, my boy Danny Perez, and me. Because I don't play that shit. I have nobody to impress. I have nobody to hide from. But I'm here to educate the folks. So make sure, if you want to ask me a question, hey, Cynthia, I'm going to answer it. I'm going to get to the chat. But I've been interrupting the good president. But while I interrupted the president, let me get to this point, because somebody did ask for it. So we can see it. Success, Idaho back legal. Hold on. Got to adjust this a bit for the people. Back legal stops California electric truck mandate. So you could Google this if you want to. We could read through it if you want. But basically, Idaho was one of those 17 states that successfully sought to repeal California's harmful electric truck mandate as the advanced clean fleet. This is all part of what they're saying, from the clean vehicles to the clean fleet. So if you're bringing product and commerce into the state, you need an electric semi-truck. When you're bringing diesel from New York, you have to probably move the truck and get all the way to Nevada or Utah and switch freight over. just to drive into California is not happening. So that's why Trump's repeal today is so powerful, because it ends all of this. And if you don't know, a House Joint Resolution is a law of the land once the president signs it. So let's get back to the president. Let's get back to here. I'm going to read through the chat. I appreciate y'all tapping in, though. And we have other things to watch today, too. But I appreciate everybody asking. What I haven't found yet, that I was asked earlier, was a city or county in California where Republicans are taking over. I believe it's a city. Let me openly correct myself. I haven't found the article, but I'll find it before the stream's up.
Well, just workers. We fought for workers like no one has ever fought before. I understand that. It's why we won. We won with workers. We won with young people. I just saw with TikTok, I was #1 on TikTok in its history. Can you believe that? So I guess I like TikTok. That's why they're saying, are you saving? And we probably will save TikTok, actually. But on my first day in office, I ended
I believe
the
it.
scam and abolished the EV mandate at the federal level. We abolished
Jade
it,
is hilarious.
which is basically that everybody would be driving an electric car within a very short period of time. Now I know why Elon doesn't like me so much.
Oh,
Which he does, actually. He does. And he never had a problem. You know, it's very
hey,
interesting.
Cynthia, yes, I am a
This is not
lobbyist.
something new.
Matthew, thank you
This has
for
been there from
subscribing.
Day one, Speaker, right? We're going to abolish the EV mandate. And Elon still endorsed me because, honestly, he never, ever spoke to me about it.
Remember, that's a
He
good
used to say, "I'm
thing.
amazed
I'm
he's endorsing me because that can't be good for him. I'm abolishing the EV mandate."
good question. I'm gonna get to that.
And I once asked him about it. You never talked to me about that. He said, well, as long as it's happening to everybody, I'll be able to compete. It was a very interesting answer. I thought it was a very honest answer, to be honest with you. And I talked about it, that incredible, you know, you would have thought he would have been from day one. You got to make
My
sure
bad
you
on that. I switched over. I totally forgot the president was talking. My apologies there, y'all.
very honest in that sense.
My apologies.
And he did
Rookie
say to
mistake.
me, I actually asked him because it was like really strange how I'm with him. He's very, friend of mine, and he makes electric cars. And we're saying you're not going to be able to make electric cars, or you're not going to be forced to make.
My bad on that, y'all, for real.
You can make
Rookie
them, but
mistake.
it'll be by the market, judged by the market. And that's what he said. He said, as long as I'm on the same plane
Thanks,
as
Jay.
everybody else, we're going to do good. We make a better product. I said, that's very cool.
You're having good money.
That was my answer. After that, he got a little bit strange, but I don't know why, over much smaller things than that. As part of the One Big Beautiful Bill, will also further slash the funding for the Green New Scam. As you know, it's the greatest scam in history, saving American taxpayers hundreds of billions of dollars. The windmills are killing our country, by the way. The fields are littered with them, junk. They're littered with them. And they get older, and they get rusty, and they get bad, and they get... This is other countries also. It's the greatest scam in history. It's the most expensive energy you can buy. They're ugly. A friend of mine comes from Minnesota. He's been in New York. He hit it big. He's a very successful guy, actually. And he wanted to go back, see his mother who's not well, and he went back to Minnesota. Hasn't been back there in 20 years. And he said, it's unbelievable what happened. He said, I'm driving down a highway and up a certain road, and the most beautiful fields. I remember them so well.
Thanks, CC.
And I was so looking forward to seeing them again, and I looked at them, and they had windmills all over them, these horrible, horrible structures.
Drummer Dave, I'm going to get to your question in a bit. Let me let Trump speak for a minute. I'm going to get to it in my next break.
These ugly, horrible things.
Also, in the word Mason, I see your question as well. I'm going to get to
I
it.
actually drove back to see it because I couldn't believe it. Before I even got to my mother, I drove back. I said, how much do you like your mother? But no, it hurt him to see it. He said, I looked at this field that was one of the most beautiful places in my own mind and imagination that I've ever seen. And I said, it's littered with...
Gregory Stevens, I'm going to get to your question too.
It looked like a junkyard, he said. And some, then you get different manufacturers, and they don't look alike, and they're not painted alike, different colors. You have... Even if they're white, one's a...
All right, CC, I appreciate you switching over, man. Thank you for tapping in. I'm going to do a canvas stream too one of these days, but I just try not to overwhelm folks.
To wear out, and nobody takes them because you're not allowed to bury the propellers, the props, right? You can't bury the props for some reason. I don't know why, but they say that you can't bury a certain type of fiber.
Evan, I'm going to get to your question next break.
We're all
Thank
going
you.
to die. It's what bullshit this is, okay? They can't bury... So what they do is they leave them up. If you go to Palm Springs,
I get what you're saying, CC. Appreciate you.
Go into this beautiful community before you go. It's like you're riding through a junkyard. Windmills all over the place. Tall ones, short ones, dead ones. They're all dead. Some are hanging.
Cody,
over
man, I
by
appreciate you.
thread.
That's funny.
They never take them down. They just leave them there, and they start to rust. It's one of the greatest scams, and it's also the most expensive energy. And the environmentalists say, "Oh, we love wind. It sounds."
Aloha,
so
Kitty. Hey, how you doing today? Thanks for tapping in, man.
It's a
Great
horrible
support.
thing. I say that to you.
Love the support, man.
Wind, and we are going to have virtually no one mandate we have. We're going to natural gas, nuclear. Nuclear. We just had a big signing with nuclear, making it easier, safer, and better. It's really, I would say, probably more than any other form of energy that's come about. It's been amazing what's been done. It's very safe, very good, and very inexpensive. But we're not going to let windmills get built because we're not going to destroy our country any further than it's already been destroyed. You go and look at these beautiful plains and valleys, and they're loaded up with this garbage that gets worse and worse looking with time. It starts when the rust comes. 4.5 years, it starts to
Thank you,
rust.
Jeremy.
And it's
Really do
very
appreciate
expensive
that.
to paint them. So they don't paint them, and they're horrible. What's happened is
I respect that, Jeremy. I want to hear from Trump too.
Unless
I
something
got you.
happens, that's an emergency. I guess it could happen, but we're not doing any of them. I hope the Senate will soon pass a bill the House can quickly approve and get to my desk by the 4th of July. We'll have this done. And to further defend our auto workers, I imposed a 25% tariff on all foreign automobiles. Investment in American auto manufacturing is surging because of it.
That was my channel promise. I appreciate you.
Mercedes all over. They pay 25% if they don't make the car in the United States. And because of that, and this could have been done long before Trump. This could have been done by any one of the presidents. I did it with China. The reason you don't have Chinese cars here is because I imposed it my last term. I actually asked the question. I said, do we have any Chinese cars here? No. Why? Because you imposed a 25 or 27.5% tariff on Chinese cars. So they're not coming here, but they are going to Europe all over the place. But I love China. We just made a deal, and I respect President Xi a lot. And we made a deal that's good for both countries. The deal we made with China, good for both countries. Going to be a lot of money made, and it's going to ultimately open up China, which is the ultimate thing. And I'm going to be working with President Xi. We had a long talk about it. And that's going to be good for China. It's going to be good for us. But we're going to be opening up China. That's bigger than what we signed. And I think had we not signed it, that wouldn't be happening. It's going to happen. It's going to happen fairly soon. But to further defend our auto workers, I imposed this 25% tariff on all foreign automobiles and investment in American manufacturing and auto manufacturing. All manufacturing is surging. And I might go up with that tariff in the not too distant future.
NSC, I appreciate that for
The
real.
more likely it is they build a plant.
ASW.
Ford has just announced that it's going to invest $500 million in some of the things involved in what we just did. General Motors is going to spend $4 billion. They just announced that yesterday. Stellantis announced that it's going to reopen its Belvedere assembly plant. That's good. I know the plant very well. Had a lot of problems. They're going to spend $5 billion.
Appreciate you, James.
Hyundai.
That's how I feel, but I try not to clap back at everybody.
$21 billion in America.
I woke up on the good side of the bed this
We didn't have
morning.
tariffs.
But no.
Including for manufacturing American steel, which is doing great. American steel is doing great now because of what we did. You wouldn't have, if I didn't put tariffs on steel.
Bobby Brown, what up, my
They were
boy?
dumping steel. China and a lot of other countries were dumping steel in our country. Garbage steel, dirty steel, bad steel, not structurally sound steel.
Hey, Carlos,
Garbage, but it was
my
still
man,
there.
appreciate you tapping in.
And
Yeah,
if
Bobby, I had
didn't
to
put tariffs, they put
travel.
25 and 50% tariffs on steel, right?
I'm going to pause the president for a
James,
second. Hold on. No,
put
I'm going to pause it when I get it
tariffs on
good.
steel,
I got some
and we were
questions
doing
to
great with
respond
steel.
to. Actually, yeah, it's been a couple of days. I had to take a couple of days off. I got my money for my clients during session, so we wrapped up there. They're actually still, it's the longest legislative session in Florida's history. So I wrapped up there and had to get back to my family. Spent a couple of days, and I was too tired to stream last night. Getting to some of the questions, we're going to get back to President Trump. I know somebody said it turned Trump up when he speaks and turn me down. It's okay. Make sure you like and subscribe. Either way, Cynthia, am I a real lobbyist? Yes, I'm a lobbyist in the state of Florida. I've been lobbying for 15 years. I lobby on behalf of nonprofits, small organizations, some real estate developers, some Fortune 500 companies, but really for a fact of helping people get a seat at the table. This year, I was successful getting funding for a program for Holocaust survivors. Holocaust survivors living in South Florida. Florida is the third largest place for Holocaust survivors in the world. And at least this program that people hire me for, they have what's called a tribe program where they have other Jewish faith people and also volunteers come in and be more of a wraparound services for this program. Now, they're not part of JFS, the Jewish Federal, JFS, the big Jewish foundations. However, they're a smaller nonprofit, been in business for about 10 years. They needed a seat at the table. So I was able to successfully get them $286,000 this year to help expand their wraparound services for elders. Also, more recently, just for 2 clients at least out of the ones we got money for, a youth program for African-American young men. Have over 1,000 young men they've mentored throughout the state, 99% graduation rate, continue to expand. We've ended up securing their 3rd allocation in the past 4 years at $250,000, putting them at $750,000. So the entire time they've been banning African American history and all of the stuff in the state of Florida, I've been able to get funding for youth programs from suicide prevention, HIV/AIDS, and youth programs, charter schools, whatever. So I'm a real lobbyist, so I'm sharing my perspective. Well, anything, some people may not like it. It is what it is, but that's that. Let me get to some other questions. Inward Mason, how do you feel about California taxing people for immigration reform programs out of their paycheck without anything or announcing it? I feel that's bad because that kind of stirs the narrative, even though California is a lot more progressive and I'm first generation born. My grandmother came here and sponsored citizenship for my family in the 60s. So I kind of have a, not tainted, but a slighted view at this as well. But I don't agree with people being taxed for immigration reform programs overall, because you never know why people came to this country, to be honest. Hip hop, what do you think about a nursing home being built on the border of Arizona and Mexico to provide for American retirees, whereby Mexicans could earn degrees and take care of our retirees? You're working with a lot of international stuff there, because you're working with international law. You're working with, even though it's in America, if they're coming over, they have to be kind of certified. So it depends on the certification that they're going through in their country, and if some American schools or facilities would allow that. I'm not opposed to it, but there are different ramifications to that, because now you're into international law, international health, international studies, what these students are actually doing. So even if they're jumping across the border or they're coming here to teach or whatever it may be, great idea, great concept, but it runs into hurdles of accreditation and actual policies of healthcare on how these 2 countries differ. So great question is overall, do you think it's okay what's happening with these mass deportations of people who have been here for years and started families here? I'm conflicted on this, Evan. I talked to my mom about it last night. We've had family here that's been illegal, and family here that's done it legally, right? Not everybody's going to say what it is, for what it is. So I'm kind of split on that. However, I do feel that people need due process. I do feel that due process more than anything, because if they haven't been back to their country in 20 years, what are you sending them back to? I'm not saying they stay here, but it's one of those things we got to really consider and think about overall. Why should there be no tax on tips? Now, this is what the young man told me out of respect. I recorded him on my Ray-Ban Metas, but he told me he didn't want me to use it, so I'm not going to use the video, but I'm going to take the conversation. He basically told me out of their tips, they have a tip jar, and it's 3.3%. So even out of that, respectfully, even if it's no tax on tips, it's still split tips. So I could go work a table and make $20 on that table, but I really got to get half of that. So I'm really getting $10 because somebody else who didn't do shit is going to get half of that. So I'm getting no tax on tips. And at $10, maybe it's $100 in that pot for the day. No tax on that. It didn't really. And what I have to do is honestly go to other restaurants and ask more people how they feel about it. But again, he didn't say what a living wage was. But let me get back to the president. I'm going to try to make this my last stop. We have about 20 more minutes here. If we can get through this, we can get through the rest. And we have some other congressional hearings I want to tap into as well, along with the China trade deal. And I got to get some lunch too, y'all. But either way, make sure you tap. Thank you for tapping in. Make sure you like and subscribe. I be talking so fast. I need to slow down sometimes. I be trying to rush, people going to leave. People leave and come and go all the time. So it is what it is. I appreciate everybody who has the patience with your boy as we continue to grow this channel. Thank you. Let's get back to the president, though.
Now we're really doing great. Big investments being made in Pennsylvania. You've been reading about it. They're going to spend $17 billion on U.S. steel. And All the steel workers wanted it. And we have a golden stock. We have a golden share, which I control. Or
Bryson, I'd love to debate you.
Whoever the president might be. But that gives you total control. It's 51% ownership by Americans.
Bryson want to debate me on my stream? That's beautiful. I love it.
Nippon. They're coming in from Japan. They're going to spend $17 billion. And somebody said, well, what happens if it doesn't work out? I said, they spent $17 billion.
Hey, Michael, I love you too. I hate philanthropists and lobbyists. Well,
trailer and
WSG, hey.
Japan. This is a steel mill. You know, some businesses you can move. You move your office, and that's where the business is. With this business, they're spending.
Hey, Bobby Brown, I appreciate you.
$17 billion. They're going to have them all over the country. I want to introduce several of the great Americans representing the millions of people who
I understand.
are saving with today's action. I just can't tell you how incredible this action is.
Cody, I feel you.
Nobody thought. This was one that I wasn't so. I would have rather had it than almost anything, but I was told by everybody, except that guy right there, that you couldn't get it. Bill Kent runs a chain of family-owned convenience stores that opened in West Texas in 1957, known as Kent Kwik. And Bill, if you could come up and say a few words about what the
Hey, Bryson, if you drop your email in the chat, I'll send you a link. I'll add you to the stream. we could do that, Bryson. Drop your email in the chat. Let's do it.
Wow. You're probably wondering why I've called you all here today, right? What a great day. From my perspective, I'm in the convenience store and petroleum marketing business. And what this does is it gives us freedom. It gives the consumers freedom to pick what kind of car they want. But more importantly for us, it gives us the ability to plan going forward, because with mandates, we were forced to have to look at putting in infrastructure that frankly is extremely expensive and doesn't give you any return. So this allows us, it's going to free me up and our companies up to invest in what people want, in the cars they want, and it's a great day. So, Mr. President, Congress, thank you, Steve. Everybody, thank you so much. Thank you.
And a friend of mine for a long time is John Hess. He's one of the top CEOs in the country, and he's now the CEO of Hess Corporation, one of the biggest oil producers, and he's a fantastic person with
y'all tapping in today, man.
The subject matter. Can you say a few words, John? I see you in the audience. Come on, thanks.
Hi, I'm John Hess, and CEO of Hess Corporation, a proud producer of oil and gas in North Dakota and the Gulf of America. And so you all know, I was born in New Jersey, grew up in New York, and my father started our company by driving a oil truck. So, Mr. President, it's an honor to be before you today, and thank you for that. Mr. President, during your campaign, you made a commitment to the American people to repeal
Bryson, with the email, so I can send you the email, bro.
Cars and trucks, and let the consumer choose what type of vehicle they drive. Today, with the bipartisan support of Congress, you're making good on that promise. I'd like to recognize Speaker Johnson, Leader Thune, other members of Congress whose tireless efforts were critical to the outcome we're celebrating today. And a special thank you to Senator Capito for her leadership.
Hold on, bro. I'm gonna tell you where to send it, bro.
This announcement today is about consumer choice and affordability for American families. It's also about making our country auto industry more competitive, Mr. President, and you said that very eloquently. As you know, Mr. President, one-size-fits-all policies like those adopted in California do not work.
Hey, Bryson, do this. Go to Instagram.
Every American should be able
and DM it to me.
Choose what they want to drive. Not
I just dropped it in the chat.
We as a country
would pin it for you. Go ahead, DM it to me on Instagram right there, and I'm gonna add you to the chat, bro. We can debate.
Repeal on oil and gas. Oil and gas are a strategic industry for our country, underpinning energy dominance, economic prosperity, and national security. We are truly energy independent. So, Mr. President, on behalf of Hess Corporation, on behalf of the oil and gas industry, and every family across our country, thank you for your courageous leadership and your commitment to consumer choice and energy affordability. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very respected guy. The California EV mandates would also have devastated our nation's incredible truck drivers and the trucking industry, and I gave you a little bit of a rundown on that. Los Angeles, California, and back on a single tank of diesel oil, diesel fuel, but the same exact journey would require an electric truck driver to stop also 6 times at recharging stations, adding an estimated 9 hours to the trip. I don't know too much about the trucking industry, but this is not sounding good. Here to discuss a little bit about the trucking industry, Gina Jones. And Gina, a real expert on trucks, I can tell you that. She's going to come up and tell us about trucks. Thank you, Gina.
Oh, we got truck experts coming through. Okay, we got some time. They bullshit.
And the administration that have our back too. Today, trucks are 99% cleaner
Go back
than
here so y'all
a
can kind of see
generation
while they
ago.
talking. I know you can hear them in the background.
We need great partners in government to continue that process. We cannot allow one state's regulations to disrupt our entire nation's supply chain. Allowing California to do
Now,
so
you hear Trump.
would have
Here's what I'm gonna do. How about this?
Impacted
Y'all give me 1
the
second.
hundreds
Hold on,
and
y'all. Hold on,
thousands
y'all.
of
See if I
truck
can do it.
drivers who deliver critical goods across the country each and every day.
No, I'm not gonna be
In
able to
order
do
to
it. Let me
deliver
stop. Hold on.
for American families and businesses, we need realistic
Gotta have it in another window, and I don't feel like doing it.
standards.
Hold on.
With
Pause this for a second. I'm gonna pull up the HJR 88. We can read through this. I pulled it up earlier. This is basically what the press conference is about. As you see, the bill isn't that long in itself, right? This is what President Trump is calling people to go look at, which is basically providing congressional disapproval under Chapter 8, Title 5, U.S. Code for Environmental Protection Agency relating to the California State Motor Vehicle and Engine Pollutant Control Standards, Advanced Clean Cars 2. Waiver of preemption, notice of decision. Now, this is different from what I showed about the Idaho. I caught myself from the Idaho piece earlier about the lawsuit. To me, however, it's all conflated in together because there's an electric vehicle mandate, whether you're bringing commerce or other vehicles into the state. So basically resolved by the Senate and the U.S. or the House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled that Congress disapproves a rule submitted by the EPA relating to California, basically Advanced Clean 2, right? This happened in December 2024. Last minute, Biden administration came through and said, you know what? Oh, damn, I done got caught. You know what? Let's make this happen. Let's push this through to give these mandates to all auto workers and the entire industry. And that's what kind of pushed this to get where it's at now. Now, the riots and the fires and other things, well, the riots probably added to it. But that's just something that's happened, honestly, to say, you know what, this is what they're fighting against. So it's not as if this is like, oh, just Project 2025. That's not mixing that narrative. This is essentially, and I actually speed this up. It's only her talking. I don't know who that is. Essentially, it's to a point of saying, all right, cool. California's going through a lot. $12 billion in debt. $4 trillion economy or GDP. And they can't manage their basic people, right? So now you have this split faction, even though there's a lot of people who are actually supporting the protesters. I'll say that. The rioters, not so much, but the protesters at least. They're supporting the narrative. But this is more of an attack on, like, listen, we're not going to have a state that carouses other liberal sanctuary city states and cities or whatever, right? Or sanctuary states
Just
to
wrap
push
it
this
up,
mandate on us.
say
Let's get back
under
to
the
Trump.
administration, we will restore the full strength, might, and glory of the American auto and trucking industry. We'll protect our truck drivers, auto workers, small
All
business
right, Bryson said he
people,
sent it. I'm gonna check
manufacturers
now.
all over our country, and actually all over the world, and that's okay too.
I got you, my boy.
A product that works, a product that's much
Bryson
more
made a whole IG account for this. It's
Better.
wild, ain't it?
It's much better, less expensive, and we'll put affordable energy and affordable car ownership back on the center of the American dream as we make America great again, and that's what's happening. We're making America great. You know, when I went over to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, just a couple of weeks ago, the leaders of those countries, and they're very smart people, they said, you know, you've made in a short period of time America the hottest nation in the world. It's the hottest that you're the only one we talk about now. And 6 months ago it was a laughing stock. They said that to me, those words. It was a laughing stock, and it was an absolute laughing stock. We've got the hottest nation right now in the whole world, and the numbers are reflecting it too. So I just think it's great. And what I'll do is I'll sign this, then we can take a couple of questions if you want. And we will be finished. And you're gonna.
Hey, Bryson, check your email. You should have the link. I'm gonna add you in once you get in, bro.
For 20% less money. And I want to thank you, man. You have done so
We're gonna have
much.
our
Thank you,
first
Mike.
debate on stream, y'all. I never had that before. Once Bryson get in, I'll let y'all know, man. About to have our first debate. Bryson, let's go, baby. What about a job, hip hop? What do you mean?
Okay, we're going to sign 3 bills that do everything I just said.
I'm gonna skip forward. We don't have time. Oh, we got another brother in the room. I didn't even see him earlier.
The largest auto dealerships in Southern California. What's that? Automotive Group.
Good.
Their message to you, they're 100% behind you right now. They know they're going through some soft sales period.
It's true.
They're in it for the long haul. What's your message to thousands of auto dealerships?
Questions from the press. We can't really hit a press question, but we're gonna hit the
Yeah, they're going to do better than ever before. They're
Oh,
gonna
bro,
sell
I don't know
cars
about
in
that, bro.
America
I can't control other people's
levels that
businesses.
they've never even thought of before.
I can recommend you.
And they're going to make more money than they ever made before. It's going to be great. They're going to be selling a better car, too. It's going to be a better product.
And they're behind you 100%.
I know. I know that. They have been behind me, right? They knew it was right. They've been asking for this for 25, 30 years, in all fairness. No, they're very happy. I told you the Auto Workers Union, we got tremendous votes. But they like me today.
Waiting on Bryson to
better
tap
than
into
they
the
did on
stream, y'all.
Election Day on November 5th.
About to join the studio.
I see the results now. They're all happening. And yeah, and they have plants moving in, Brian. A lot of plants are moving in. Thank you very much for that question. Yeah.
Was Governor Gavin Newsom trying to kill the auto industry then?
Oh, he was killing the auto industry. I don't think he knew it.
Oil and coal, CC.
I think he's a guy who he's just got a faulty thought process. You look at that train. The train is the most. I've seen people, stupid people with cost overruns for years. I've watched where something would cost twice as much or 3 times, but this thing is costing 20 times more. It's the most incredible disaster I've ever seen. That's one. The cars are just as bad. Everything's bad. And now you have this situation. So his own sheriff, who's a good man, by the way, said 2 days ago or 3 days ago that we could not have done this without the military. They were going to take over this whole, they couldn't have done it. Now today they got him to change his tune. He said,
Oh, my man's on. All right.
oh, I think we could have handled
Hold
it.
on, y'all.
It's so sad. He was so.
I got Bryson here.
Using his quote all over the place, and they got him to change. But,
Hold on, Bryce. Can you hear me?
Los Angeles would.
No,
be
I gotta
burning
test
to
your
the
audio
ground
before you
just
come on the
like
stream,
houses
bro.
burned to the ground. It's so sad what's going on in Los Angeles. Think of it. They had a
There you
fire
go.
that
Can you hear
they
me?
never had because they should have listened
Yes, sir,
to
I
me in
can.
the
Can you hear
water
me?
I hear you. All right. I'm about to
eventually.
add you in
We
1 second.
had the
If
water
you say
come
anything
down.
crazy, I'm just take your ass out quick. So to let you know now.
Now, with the half
I'm not-
pipes,
don't
the
worry.
big
One
half
second, I'm
pipes
getting my
going
mic
all the
in.
way
You can turn
down
your camera on too if you want to.
Water, so much water. They don't have any droughts.
my
They
front
don't have
camera's
any- they
busted.
have so much
No, I
water.
got
They
you. Hold
sent it
on,
all
y'all. We
to
about
the
to add
Pacific
Bryson in.
Ocean for 20 years. So ridiculous. And we got them to take it now. But what they do and what they're doing, this is a big problem. And what they really want to do is keep criminals because they're trying to protect criminals. Sanctuary cities.
Hold on, y'all. I'm going to pause President Trump. Bryson, you on?
Yes, sir, I am.
I think, Chad, can y'all hear Bryson? Yeah, he said he don't have a camera. We got the voice. He don't have a camera. They want your camera up, bro. They hear you.
All right, let me see if I can get my back camera to work.
They're trying to turn the back camera on. They hear you. There we go, Brandon, my man. Hold on. I'm gonna make you live for the people.
All right.
Hold on. I'm gonna take Trump down. Hold on. Let me take Trump down and put my man Bryson up. Bryson, appreciate you tapping into the stream today, man. You're the first person I've actually say, you know what, they want to debate and come on the stream, and I appreciate you, brother. So let's have a debate, and we agree to be respectful. Doesn't look like he's able to vote. They say, "Are you 14?" I'm not ranking on you though, Bryson. Let's go, man. Jacob, my bad. He said he wanted to debate, so I'm gonna give him a couple minutes. We're gonna talk young Bryson, see what he wants to debate about. Hopefully he says nothing crazy, because if he does, we're just gonna kick him out and get back to the show.
Nah, I ain't gonna say nothing crazy. So the first thing that I'm wanting to talk about is I've heard a lot of people saying that ICE hadn't really been doing the right thing. ICE is racist, Trump is racist, and I was wanting to talk a little bit on that to get your opinion on it.
Okay, let's talk, man. Let's talk. I support it, man. Go. So your main question is ICE is racist?
Well, I wanted to get your opinion on it, and because I've been scrolling through live streams, getting a bunch of videos, asking people on those live streams, hey, do you support ICE and what they're doing? All of them say no, they're racist. I've been trying to get on live debates with them before, but you're the first one that I've been able to. So congratulations on that.
Hey, I appreciate you, Bryson, man. And it looked like you putting up the groceries. Your mom gave you some chores, so I appreciate making sure that you're not getting yelled at by your mom later. So it's always good to do your chores. To me, honestly, yeah. I'll say this: as a first-generation American, I had to talk to my mom about it, right? Because she's been here, like I said earlier on the stream. My grandmother came here, sponsored citizenship for our family, right? However,
right.
I think this is the first time that we've seen ICE be so aggressive to where they're going to graduations, they're going other places to basically say, okay, cool, you have to get out the country, or even the part of going to Venezuela's jail or El Salvador or wherever. I think it's a lot more aggressive than it's been, and I think it's targeted to basically say, okay, Hispanics, Haitian Americans, Africans from America, the Africans that are here, that you have to go. And I think that ends up being the issue to where it looks more racist because you're not seeing a lot of Germans or Russian oligarchs or people from other European countries being deported. However,
well, the reason why they're
go ahead.
Well, the main reason they're targeting said races is because this might sound bad, but we have more like Hispanic legal immigrants than Russian, German, or European in general.
True.
Versus if you look at the southern border too, like 99.9% of the immigrants that come through there illegally, by the way, are Hispanic. We have some from the Middle East too. More than likely, a lot of it are terrorist organizations via ISIS, Al Qaeda, Taliban. Because I like how ICE is being as aggressive as they are. Because if they just show up out of nowhere, then there's no time for said immigrants to hide, if that makes sense.
I do feel you. One thing that's kind of lost in the narrative, right? And I just want to, and some people are saying you're a kid, but I think it's the education point, right? Because Bryson will be a voter soon. And I think the biggest part of it, honestly, is we don't take the younger generation's opinions and their narratives or their conversation into account, right? So, Bryson, I actually appreciate you tapping in again. To me, it's more, when you say Al Qaeda and ISIS, that's not really what it is coming over the border. It's more the cartels, right? So the Mexican cartels and the drug lords that are really bringing the drugs up through Colombia, further South America, all the way through Mexico, that are coming through these caravans or whatever to bring drugs in, whether it's fentanyl, weed, or whatever. So I do think that a part of it is we think Al Qaeda, we think, because that's the narratives we're told, but it's actually the drug cartels that are actually the biggest problem in Mexico and what they're coming over. But I do kind of agree with you for that part to say, hey, they're bringing drugs over. But at the same time, some of it's conflated with nonsense or bullshit, to be honest. Jay, kids can't vote, but they can have an opinion.
I agree with that, but sure, it's mainly cartels and stuff like that because they are right on the border. It's a lot easier for them to jump the fences. I've heard some people say, but if anybody can have fought, so let's think of it this way: you got some guy in the Mideast who gets a travel visa to go to Mexico. All right, he goes over to Mexico and goes to their northern border, our south. Dude, I can't talk today.
No, you good. Take your time. You may be a little nervous, but you're good. It's only us talking. Everybody else is just watching.
All right. But anybody can go to Mexico and then cross our border, which is mostly a national security threat. Now, if ICE isn't as aggressive as they are, they're not going to be able to catch anything because if they stay on the down low like they would, nothing's going to get done. You have to actually go in there in person, do raids, questioning X, Y, and Z to actually find out. Well, for one, you need to know you're deporting the right person.
True.
Because you don't want a Rico to be just as a citizen of the U.S. and working at Walmart and just get deported for no reason when you have head drop all the way over there.
Yeah, actually, Jade, you bring up a good comment. Because you are a minor, you could turn your camera off just because. Jay, thank you for that. Because it's nothing crazy happening, but because you are a minor, I would thank you, Jade. You can cut your camera off for what it is, and we can leave the audio up. I'll put Trump up for what it is for the visual, but I'll let them know that it's a young man that's there. But I'll cut your visual off, but your audio should still be in.
All right, that's fine.
All right. Actually, no. Deactivate your camera because I can't do your audio. Yeah. So, are you still there?
I just deactivated it.
All right.
Yes, sir. I'm still here.
Camera wise. Thank you for Jade. I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. It's none of that shit. But it's for a fact of Bryce did say he want to have a debate, have a conversation. I'm gonna leave Trump up. You'll hear his voice. But because he's doing the dishes and handling the chores, I'm gonna cut the video off. Thanks for that, Jade. I don't want anything to be misconstrued as bullshit. But go ahead, Bryce. I'm listening.
I done lost my train of thought.
Yeah, my bad on that. It happens to be on the stream all the time.
No, you're fine.
But,
well, I've also heard
go ahead.
A lot. Oh, sorry, my bad.
No, you're good.
Keep cutting you off.
No, you're good. You good. It's your time. You're a guest on my show, so you get a time. Go ahead.
All right. And there was something else I was about to say. I can't remember what. Shit. Well, I guess we could talk about still something related to ICE and something related to Trump, like the riots in LA about ICE. Do you think they're doing the right thing or not doing the right thing? I'm struggling. You're fine.
And I'll cut you off here for a minute. I'll get back to the main show, and then we'll have you on another time. But I don't think that. What I think is that basically there's unrest for people who are being detained that are have visas, that have been here, who may have overstayed their welcome, saying, "Listen, hey, I haven't committed a crime. I shouldn't be deported." Or it's not to the heinous acts that have happened with other immigrants. Also, I think there's a hierarchy of classes where people who are here. That they feel that, people could get deported. But the main point is a lot of people feel like they voted for this. So they're supporting Trump regardless of what happens. However, I think the narrative is kind of twisted. But I'll let you get one more statement in, Bryce, and then I'll cut it off. But I appreciate you tapping in more than anything. Then I'll get back to the Trump piece.
All right, you're welcome. But with the ICE stuff and you saying that that's what people feel like they voted for, I feel like they did because or at least in my mind, this is my personal opinion, when he said that for Project 2025, they're going to deport all the illegal immigrants, ICE is going to do raids, they're going to do, what's the word? I don't know. But, dude, I'm struggling right now.
No, you're good. And I'll stop it there. But I think, honestly, I don't have a problem with a young man being at least knowledgeable about it, because honestly, this is how I feel, Bryson, to be real before I cut it off. I think it's a fact of by the time you get to voting age, you need to understand what you're voting for and who you're voting for, right? Whether it's Democrat or Republican,
Right.
whatever, right? However, a lot of the narratives that are out there, the biggest thing why I started this channel is kind of erasing that, to say, hey, you know what? I may not support everything President Trump does, but there's some good policies he may push out, right? At least getting out of the fact of Democrat wrong, Democrat is perfect, Republican wrong, Republican perfect, and at least be knowledgeable, right?
Right.
Yeah, and somebody said you're not. Somebody said you're opinionated more than anything, which I think comes from just however you get your news, however you get your source and your facts, right? My biggest thing I tell
get
you,
all of my. I'm sorry, I cut you off again.
no, you're good. Just do your own research, come up with your own opinions, and have it go from there. But I'm not gonna say you're biased. I'm not gonna like lean either way. I'm gonna just say have a good day for it, because I appreciate you tapping to the stream and taking some time out of your day to hop on. But hopefully some other streamers will give you a chance to have a stronger debate. But I do think that respectfully, your voice is needed. So thank you again for tapping in, man.
You're welcome. If you want to, I'll do some more research, get some stuff written down, get some notes written down, and then I can come back another time and we can keep the conversation going.
You got my contact, you got my email, so let's make it happen. Thank you, man.
All right, you're welcome.
All
Bye.
right. All right, chat. I appreciate y'all's patience. And the biggest thing is, I didn't know, honestly, I'll make full face for a second. I didn't know, honestly, Bryson would be a kid. I thought I'd be a grown up. Until I saw he's all, damn, I can't just, all right, cool. I'm going to get a conversation going. Keep going. For people who felt uncomfortable, I apologize. If you felt uncomfortable, I know it was nothing inappropriate that happened. Y'all saw the whole conversation for what it is. Nothing illegal there. But I do feel that the young people need their voices heard, at least understanding, because as someone said, my man's bias is what he's currently learning, right? So at least the fact of if he's learning in a household or in a school system or in his friends are communicating this way, it's one of those things to say, okay, cool. At least we're not assuming what they're saying. Let's at least as adults, as people who are older, say, nah, bro, let's at least educate you about what's there. Because even as Bryson said, and the little thing I try to correct is the narrative of ISIS and Al-Qaeda coming over the border from Mexico, right? That's it. Like, let's be real. It's more the fentanyl, it's more the cartels, and that comes into not just watching Narcos on Netflix, but the educational aspect. But I appreciate y'all honestly having the patience to hear Bryson out. Some of y'all may have left, came back, whatever, but I appreciate y'all. Jade, thank you for calling me out on that, because I'm not trying to portray something that's not debating kids about politics, but Bryson did come on. He don't want to say he want to have a conversation, so we're there. Let's get back to this. I know this is probably over, but y'all here with me, so let's get through this and we'll see where we go from there. Appreciate y'all. We'll get back into the California piece from there. Thanks again.
Most of the voters don't want them. Politicians like them for whatever reason, but I think the politicians are wrong. That's why
I'm not
we
calling
won
the kid
in
that.
such a convincing fashion. We won all 7 swing states. We won by millions of votes. We won 2,750 districts as opposed to 505. That's why when you look at the map, it's almost all red. It's got 2 little blue stripes on each side of it. It's almost all red. But now you have to, I always got along with Gavin. I like Gavin. I've liked him, always. He said I never called him. You know, they asked him a question.
Ralph, good point. I should have did that.
Fox, I guess. I never spoke to him. He doesn't remember the call. He doesn't remember. I never spoke. And then I produced a phone call. I had it. It took me about 2 minutes.
Mike Smith made a great
Well,
point.
here's the call. It lasted 16 minutes and 4 seconds. And it was at 12:30 in the evening. I actually made a call, didn't pick up. I called him a second time, and he picked up. And I told him, I said, you have to get your ass in gear because you're going to have a problem there. And he would have. If we didn't bring the military in, he would have had, you would have right now something. And I went through it because I follow the rules 100%. And I watched in Minnesota where you have the man who ran for vice president of the United States. Fortunately, he was a disaster. But he wouldn't call in the National Guard. And I eventually called in the National Guard, but it was seven days late. I said, I'll never do that again. I'm never going to, if I see problems brewing, if they're not going to do the problem, I'm not going to wait 2 weeks. Because that city, Minneapolis, burned down. If you remember the CNN anchor, he was standing there saying, yes, this is a peaceful rally. And behind him, the entire city was on fire. It looked like World War II. And I appreciate the question. Please. Thank you.
First, the terrible, horrific plane crash in India today. I'm sure you saw the images on TV. Your reaction to that first, and will you speak to Prime Minister Modi?
The plane crash was terrible. I've already told them anything we can do. It's a big country, a strong country. They'll handle it, I'm sure. But I let them know that anything we can do, we'll be over there immediately. But it was a horrific crash. It looks like most are gone. They actually maybe have a couple survivors, which is just heard. But that was a horrible crash. Nobody knows. Nobody has any idea what it might be. I gave him a couple of pointers. I said, maybe you'll look at this or that. You know, we saw the plane. It looked like it was flying pretty well. It didn't look like there was an explosion. It just looked like the engines maybe lost power. But boy, that is a terrible crash. It's one of the worst in aviation history. Yeah, second?
How confident are you, sir, that conflict with Iran can be avoided?
Well, I'd love to avoid the conflict. Iran's going to have to negotiate a little bit tougher, meaning they're going to have to give us some things that they're not willing to give us right now. I'm the last person. I've kept us out of wars. We defeated ISIS completely, 100%, and I haven't had it's peace through strength. I believe in peace through strength. We're the greatest military in the world. I rebuilt the military, as you remember, for 4 years. I rebuilt the military, and then we gave a chunk of it away, but it was still peanuts. It was a lot, but it was peanuts compared to what we rebuilt. Gave it to Afghanistan, one of the most embarrassing moments in the history of our country with the whole withdrawal, the way they withdrew. It was very embarrassing, but we rebuilt the military. We have the greatest, strongest military. We defeated ISIS. We defeated ISIS. We defeated ISIS 4 weeks with, by the way, headed by the general who's now the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. That's why he's there. He said it would take 4 weeks, and he did it in 4 weeks. He did actually a little bit faster. So we have a great country, and we're going to keep it that way. And when it comes to Los Angeles or other cities, if we see other cities are gearing up, and these people are agitators, they're paid, they're professionals, they're insurrectionists, they're troublemakers, they're all of those things. But I believe they're paid, and we're going to find out through Pam Bondi and her
Frank King made a great point for real. Yeah, it's only, it didn't look like it was all over LA. It looked like it was certain areas downtown.
Investigations and that in Congress, but we're going to find
by the
out
ICE detention center
who they are, because they're really, I think what they're doing is unbelievably illegal. Just one thing. So they took the bricks away from people. They're walking in with satchels of bricks. Now, why do you have?
Actually, that's a lie. From what people were saying, now this is the part where even man could be misinformed, and this is where the misinformation starts. Right? They're saying that they came in with bricks. That's not what happened. When we were watching the stream the other day, we had the 11-hour stream. Over 300,000 people tapped in. Over 1,000 subscribers. You know what we saw? We saw people with the chisels going to the building and chiseling the bricks off the building. Well, not the bricks, the whatever. That's where they were getting their bricks from, and that's what they were throwing at the police. Now, there could have been, some people say there were blocks of bricks on the side of the road. None of the streams we saw on the streets had no blocks of bricks. But we did see people spray painting walls, chiseling bricks of marble or pieces of marble off of buildings and throwing it at the police. It was like there were police literally trapped under the bridge on the 101 expressway, shooting tear gas and smoke grenades up, and they were catching them shits and throwing them right back to them. Craziest thing I've seen in the world.
Bricks. Yeah, bricks because you throw bricks. They're very potent. If they hit you, they kill you. And they took them away. The military took them away. They saw him. What the hell is this? The guy could hardly carry him. Many bricks. He's a strong guy. Couldn't carry him. And they saw that, and they took him away. Then they found others with bricks.
I didn't see the pallets. I haven't seen one video of pallets of bricks. I've seen them chiseling the bricks off the building.
I saw them pounding the curb and pounding the sidewalk. And it was like a military operation. This guy's pounding strong, boom, big shots. And it was breaking up granite, the granite curbs. And the granite.
I got to find that video, yo. I haven't seen it.
And there was lines of people standing there.
I'll look it up,
And then he stopped handing them. They just went down and picked him up. It was so professional. I said, that's a professional organization. This is not like.
I'm talking about the second day. Hold on. The second day, I seen them when they had the people up on the 101 freeway where they took up the freeway. I seen them with the chisel, clanking on the building, knocking shit off. I didn't see the palace of bricks. I'm gonna look it up on YouTube after this. It may not be on this stream, but we may see it here too.
So who would think of this even?
I'm gonna look it up on the side channel.
A lot of curbs are broken, a lot of sidewalks broken, but I never saw that before. That's one I haven't seen. I thought I saw it all. And they have it on tape. And with that, people get killed. You know, they go to the bridges and they drop the concrete off the top of the bridge with a car coming along at 70 miles an hour and the person dies. And we had a lot of car problems. You saw that. They were all over the road. They were littered all over the road where the cars got stopped by concrete going through the front windshield. These are bad people. If we didn't go, Los Angeles right now would be on fire. It would be a disaster. And we stopped it. And last night was very good. Nobody showed up. You know why they didn't show up? Because we were there. If it was just the police, because the police are great. I know those police, they're great, but they're told not to do anything. They're not allowed to act. Thank you.
I haven't checked the chat. I know y'all talking.
I don't want to say imminent, but it looks like it's something that could very well happen. Look, it's very simple, not complicated. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Other than that, I want them to be successful. I want them to be tremendous. We'll help them be successful. We'll trade with them. We'll do whatever is necessary. You know, I stopped a war between India and Pakistan. And I stopped it with trade. I don't think I've ever seen a story written about it, but it was pretty cool. They were getting ready. Pakistan was their turn to hit, and eventually they're going to go nuclear. And I stopped it. I called each.
I'm gonna stop it here. Hold on. I found this, and I'm not trying to go with conspiracy theories. This is what I found on another thing about
Magic pallets of bricks
Crist
and cinder blocks. They're disappearing
show.
for no apparent reason in key areas of Los Angeles.
I hate to say it. If this is what we're going by, this picture by itself, this don't look like downtown LA to me. I hate to say this is like an apartment complex, right? I could be off. Sure, maybe it's somewhere else in this.
Showing pallets of cinder blocks
Okay.
dropped off right next to where federal agents were staging up. Where are they coming from? Who's buying them? Some are saying you did, the American taxpayers, whereas previous riots were thought to be financed through far-left groups.
Okay. This is my first time seeing that. Respectfully, I wasn't looking for it. I haven't seen it, but it's kind of interesting. But maybe they're doing some construction. I don't know.
I respect.
Honestly, I don't know. But
greatly.
Going to the Kennedy files and the CIA and all the other shit, maybe the CIA planted it there. Maybe this is a game that the CIA is playing, because nobody's talking about the CIA. It's the FBI, it's the Marines, National Guard. Maybe it's a game they playing with us. Respectfully.
I know them. And I spoke to them, and I talked about trade. I said, but you're not trading with us if you're going to go to war.
Well,
you're going to start throwing nuclear weapons around.
Why I haven't seen that
I
shit
said
till
it to
now.
both of them, and they were
No
both
bullshit.
unbelievable, actually. They understood it exactly. They stopped. I stopped that war with phone calls and trade. And India's here right now negotiating a trade deal, and Pakistan's coming, I think, next week. And I'm very proud of that. Nobody died. Nobody.
No, there's no bots in this chat. Unless they brought some bots in.
Very substantial
Peter.
numbers of nuclear weapons. And I think we should get some credit for that. You know, the whole Republican Party should, because that's their mindset. Please. Yes, ma'am. What? Look, I've always been in favor of students coming in from other countries. That includes China. And we have 500,000 Chinese students coming in. I've always been in favor of it. Does it mean that you have to watch people? Yeah, you have to watch students, but you have to watch other people also. I've always been strongly in favor of it. I think it's a great thing. It's also
Stacey, I saw something
good
else
for
on
our
my stream the
schools.
other
It's
night.
good
That's
for-
what I'm
I think
saying.
it's good for
I
our
didn't
country.
see the Palace
I'm
of
also in
Bricks. No
favor of
bull.
having them stay.
If I saw the
I'm in
Palace of
favor
Bricks, I would have said it already.
letting
I'm
them
pretty
stay. If you get educated for 4 years, you're
shooting
willing
straight.
to get educated for 4 years. I like people being able to stay. You know, they have some great students. You have some, these are Republicans clapping. You know, because a lot of Republicans don't like that idea. I happen to like it. I'm a real Republican, believe it or not. But I like the idea. They go 4 years. To me, that's almost like, you know, just buying your way in a very legitimate way. And, you know, you have stories where Apple wants to hire somebody and they can't hire him because he can't stay. He went to a great school. He finished first in his class. They made him a big offer. And everything's done, but he has no idea whether or not he's going to be able to stay. And I'm all for making sure that people like that can go to work for all of our great companies. And you know what they do? They go back to their country, and there are stories that are all over the place. They go back to their company, and they start a company just like they were going to start here. They end up starting it in China or India or someplace else, and now they're among the richest people in the world. They've got thousands and thousands of employees that make it great. This is happening all the time, because they're not allowed to stay. And I think we'll probably end up doing something about that, right? I think. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You in the blue, please. Light blue.
How close are you to setback between Ukraine and Russia? We see a very bad escalation. Are you going to leave it in the hands of the Europeans?
I'm very close to the situation. I'm very disappointed in Russia. But I'm disappointed in Ukraine also, because I think deals could have been made. And, you know, we're losing 5,000, 6,000 people a week, soldiers mostly, but also people living in towns because they're getting hit by missiles again. How'd you like to live in a building and you think a missile has a good chance of hitting your building during the evening? It's horrible. Must be horrible to live like that. But, I mean, we'll get it, but it's, I'm disappointed that it's not done. We did great with India and Pakistan. We did very good with Israel. I thought, look, October 7th was a disaster. People forget, you know, they like to forget. That was a horrible thing. But, you know, none of these things would have happened if I were president. If I were president, none of it would have happened. You wouldn't have the Israel problem. Iran was broke. They had no money. We had big sanctions on them. Biden immediately let them get rich, $300 billion they have right now. But they had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah. They had no money for anything. It was perfect. We wouldn't have had inflation that was caused by oil, Chris. The oil price went through the roof. It was also caused by their spending, but it was caused more by oil than anything else. The oil went so high, got close to $100 a barrel. And that caused, and that also kept the war going with Putin, because at $100 a barrel, that was a big money-making experience. But now it's down to where it's not so good for them anymore. No, it's very important to get that solved. That's a bloodbath. That's a terrible bloodbath that's going on. Yeah, please, go ahead. Go ahead.
Following up your question, answer on India and Pakistan for stopping the war between them. India says that they cannot talk to Pakistan unless Pakistan takes actions against terrorists.
We're going to get those two getting together, you know? I told them, India and Pakistan, they've had a long time rivalry over Kashmir. And I said, I can solve anything. I'll be your arbitrator. I will be your arbitrator. I can solve anything.
Chat popping today, man.
And I started the first question, how long has it been going on? They said,
you see what I'm whispering into the mic, man? Move your mouth from the mic.
Mr. President.
When I heard 2,000 years, I said, maybe I'll have John Hess solve that problem.
Mr. President, will you punish Islam?
Peter?
Thank you, President Trump. I have two. First, on immigration. What made you change?
Oh, wow. Sheila didn't deserve that block, man. Thanks for tapping in, Sheila.
Farmers and people in the hotel and leisure business.
Well, we're not targeting. In fact, if you look today, I put out a statement today about farmers. Our farmers are being hurt badly by, you know, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, you know, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have, maybe not.
That's the contradiction now. Now, for even Bryson, who was on here earlier, my man, appreciate you tapping in. Much love, right? Now we're saying to the farmers, and we're going to put up the True Social post later, right? To the farmers that are impacted, they may have people here illegally, but it's okay for them to have people here illegally because it's going to hurt their business. We're only going to focus on the criminals. Now, do you see the contradiction in that? Because now it's like, okay, instead of a blanket, which I think this is really what disturbed people, what young Bryson was talking about in overall, right? We have a blanket ICE deportation and raid. We're going to show up here and we're going to take 100 of your workers in Tallahassee, Florida. I wish I was on the floor. I wish I was in Tallahassee when it happened. They raided a construction site and found 100 undocumented immigrants working at that site to be deported. Do you think work on that site continued the next day? Probably not. Probably for the whole next week it didn't happen, right? Which was last week. So altogether, we're looking for criminals, which is kind of what they've been saying for the whole time. But everybody who's an illegal immigrant isn't a criminal, which is the biggest thing. Some of them are like, you know what? I may be here illegally, but the best I can do is work on this roof, build a home, pick strawberries, pick oranges, pick mangoes, and keep a low profile. And get there. I'm going to tell you this. When I worked at Winn-Dixie, one of my first jobs, a grocery store, we lived out by the orange groves, right? And the young men from Guatemala, his other Hispanic, Latin countries, they would come in hardworking, cash only, buy their stuff, beer, food, and go. And you knew they may have come out, not to be stereotypical, just being real from the times, right? They may be riding 20 deep in the truck or a van. However, you could see the community. All right, we're going to look out for, I'm getting this whole case of beer for all of us, and we're going to come back here and do it the next day, and do it the next day, and do it the next day. And that's the people that are here. Not the ones running the drugs and the fentanyl and the cocaine. It's the ones that are like, you know what? I have a family back home in my country, but I know that the pesos I can make there aren't going to be good enough, but that American dollar is standing strong. So if I can send 10 US, 100 US, 500 US back home, I know it'll be greater than me back home struggling. And that's the fact of criminalizing some illegal immigrants who may be here illegally, but they're doing good work. And the issue now is, as you heard from our president, MAGA lover, Big Trump, now the farmers are being impacted. The farmers who are hiring people without being citizens. Now, who's the enemy?
And you know what's going to happen and what is happening? They get rid of some of the people because, you know, you go into a farm and you look and people they've been there for 20, 25 years and they've worked great and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else. And then you're supposed to throw them out. And you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in, the murderers from prisons and everything else. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers and leisure too, hotels. We're going to.
Exactly what I've been saying. I've been on the stream for the past month and I've been telling y'all, like, listen, the hotel hospitality industry is the one that will feel this as well. I'll tell it again for the new people that are here. I went to a resort in Florida, the great state of Florida, the free state of Florida, with America's governor, Ron DeSantis. And guess what? Nobody at the resort spoke English. And I'm not knocking it because I was trying to watch football. Not American football, soccer football with your feet, no hands, right? And essentially we were at a point of saying, damn, nobody here speak English? But we were on the Hispanic side of Orlando. So nobody spoke English, right? But this is America. And people are coming here to work these jobs that you may not want because you want a career, you have a college education, you have student loan debt that needs to be relieved. And these are the people that they want to deport. But listen, read it for yourself. Let's go to True Social so y'all can see it. President Trump ain't bullshitting. Our great farmers and people in the hotel and leisure business have been stating that our very aggressive policy on immigration is taking very good long-time workers away from them. I just had to make sure I was reading it right because when he said very good, I'm like, wait, am I reading this correct? With those jobs being almost impossible to replace. We told y'all this. This is what y'all voted for. This is what American people voted for. This is what they defeated Kamala Harris and voted for. And honestly, if Kamala Harris would have said, hey, I don't want no tax on tips either, but we're going to keep you here, that may have had a lot of Latinos for Trump saying, hey, you know, maybe she's not that bad. But you never know. In many cases, the criminals allowed into our country by the very Biden open borders policy are applying for those jobs. This is not good. We must protect our farmers, but get the criminals out of the USA. Changes are coming. Let's see what the comments say. Who will pick blueberries? Well, Margaret. I'm not going to read the rest of that. Margaret's F.U. Ramp up the deportation and punish those who employ illegals. This is extremely disappointing post. There's no good reason to prioritize violent criminals over the illegals who are just here to work. They all must go. Do you think this will backfire on Trump? If he changes and supports the hotel, and I'm gonna put a poll up, and I'm gonna get back to this because we've been on this for about 2 hours now. Is it not illegal to hire illegals? Perhaps these companies hiring illegal aliens should be prosecuted. Marriott, Hilton. What are you gonna do? Should Marriott and Hilton be sued for hiring illegal immigrants over American people? That's the question. That's the question for the poll. I'm gonna get back to Trump, and y'all see. Let me read one more True Social. I live near farms. Never seen help wanted sign. Never seen anyone in the fields except for giant machines. They do all the work. I've seen how it's made, where a giant tractor harvests 4 zillion potatoes in 1 second. I'm not buying it. Get them all in our country. Crazy. No, Mr. President, the farmers are lying to you. They're just a bunch of greedy cheapskates who don't want to pay a decent wage but want to keep using their cheap labor. This is the narrative that needs to get out here in these streets. The same narrative they put out there. Let me adjust this all in my face. The same narrative people put out there about immigrants, about the rest of this, having my young man Bryson confused. Let's go tell the real. And it's not a knock on Bryson. The young mind needs to learn the process. And this is what I'm saying to you, man. To the young generation out there. For months and weeks, they've attacked Hispanic Americans for being here illegal, being here criminals, being here, deport them all. We're going to send a National Guard for them, the Marines, 2,000 troops. We're going to send them down there for you. But now the farmers in the hotel industry, the Marriott, the Hilton, Paris Hilton, them people done called and said, listen, you hurting our profits. Even though we franchise, you're hurting the brand, baby. Because your people coming up here doing ice raids at my hotel. They're coming up to ice raids at my school. They're coming doing ice raids at my farm, at my construction site. And I can't have that, Big Trump. I done gave you not 237 million like Big Elon, 270. I done probably gave you 3-4. And that 3-4 gonna hurt me. Going into these midterms if I gotta replace the people that I done hired in here. This is politics 101 for y'all.
Have to use a lot of common sense on that.
And my other question about the Middle East, as the Israelis apparently gear up for some kind of an attack, possible attack on Iran, are you trying to talk Netanyahu out of doing that?
We can't hear none of these questions. And this is on the White House feed just in case. So this isn't my feed, the random news. This is from the official White House. We can't hear the question, but we're going to hear the answer.
Fair question. Look, I want to have an agreement with Iran. We're fairly close to an agreement. We are fairly close to a pretty good agreement. It's got to be better than pretty good, though, but it's got to be, I'd much prefer.
Hey, Sean, thank you for the support.
As long as I think there is an agreement, I don't want them going in because I think I would blow it. Might help it.
Really do. Thank you for the support, Sean.
Also could blow it. But we've had very good discussions with Iran. Whether or not we get there, I can't tell you, but it'll happen soon. I say this, Peter, very strongly. They can't have, whether it's going in or not going in, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I'd prefer the more friendly path.
And can you tell us what the Israelis told you that made you start to evacuate the dependents of servicemen and women who are stationed in the Middle East?
They didn't tell me anything, but I said, look, there's a chance of massive conflict. We have a lot of American people in this area, and I said, we got to tell them to get out because something could happen soon.
New poll up.
And I don't want to be the one.
To illegal immigrants working in hotels and farms, stay or be deported.
Buildings.
Let them stay, be deported, or something live.
So I had to do it. I had the choice. Do I do it or not? Doing it has its downside, but it also has its upside. Like you're going to save a lot of lives if it should happen. Hopefully that doesn't happen. right? Thank you.
Why y'all keep calling me Kanye? No, it's not Kanye. It's hip hop, baby.
It's going to be a great day.
What would you like folks to take away from that day? What,
Oh, that's
what would
Trick
you
Daddy,
hope
bro.
that they would
Y'all
remember? And
wild,
also,
bro.
Mr.
How great
President,
our country is.
Jade, you're wild, bruh.
And how strong our military is. We have the strongest military in the world. You know, it's very interesting. 3 weeks ago, it was the end of world anniversary, end of World War II. And I called France, and Macron, who's a good man, I said, what are you doing? He goes, we're celebrating World War II, our victory. I said, your victory? Your victory. Tell me about that. And then I called somebody else, and I happened to speak to President Putin at the time. Now, in all fairness to him, he lost 51 million people, and he did fight. Russia fought. Sort of interesting, isn't it? He fought with us in World War II, and everybody hates him. And Germany and Japan, they're fine. You know, someday somebody will explain that, but I like Germany and Japan too. But Putin is a little confused by that, you know. He said, we lost 51 million people, and we were your ally. And now everybody hates Russia, and they love Germany and Japan. I said, let's explain that sometime, okay? But it's a strange world. But I will say this, look, I want them to go away saying how great our country is and how great our military is. And I was making all these calls. For some reason, I spoke to like 4 different places. Sir, are you celebrating? And I said, you know, we won World War II and World War I, right? We won them. And yet we're the only country that doesn't celebrate. Everybody's celebrating except us. And I said, we should celebrate too.
several No Kings protests planned across the country on Saturday as well. What are your thoughts on those?
Oh, here we go.
No Kings.
I don't feel like a king. I have to go through hell to get stuff approved. A king would say, I'm not going to get this. A king would have never had the California mandate to even be talking to him. He wouldn't have to call up Mike Johnson and Thune and say, fellas, you got to pull this off, and after years we get it done. No, we're not a king. We're not a king at all. Thank you very much. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Sir,
go ahead.
Mr. President, sir, you made a lengthy posting today on Truth Social about Senator Rand Paul. Do you expect to see him at the picnic tonight, sir?
I do. I look forward to seeing him, actually. I like him. He's the hardest vote in the history of the U.S. Senate to get. Probably won't get him, but he's a very tough vote. I mean, he's a very tough vote. He's always been a friend of mine. You know, I endorsed him and got him elected. I got him elected twice. But I don't think he understands how great this bill is. This is a great bill. No tax on tips, no tax on, you know, the Social Security payments. It's unbelievable what happens. No tax on overtime. You work overtime, no more tax. It's so, those are big, but they're minor compared to the big things. Taxes reduced. And let's look at the other side. If it doesn't get approved, a 68% tax increase, 68%, including the fact that the Trump tax cuts kick in, but it's a 68% tax increase and many other bad things. I don't even want to, some of them are so bad I don't even want to talk about them. I think it's one of the greatest bills we'll ever pass in this country, and I think that Leader Thune and this gentleman right here, what he's gone through on this with, you know, we started off with a majority of 1. Now I guess we have 7, so it's like easier, but it's really sort of 3. It's 7, but it really equates to 3, right? And we have great support. I mean, I can't tell you, I can't guarantee, but when you have a majority of essentially 3, where you can't lose anything more than 3 votes, and you get it passed, it's pretty amazing. I think it's going to haunt the Democrats because most of the bill is common sense. It's tax cuts, it's border wall funding, it's military funding properly spent. It's all things that are like common sense. They're all good. There's nothing tricky about it. It's basic stuff. And we don't intend on getting one, think of it, not one Democrat vote in the House. Mike, not one. Maybe somebody will come along. I don't know how they can run for office. So many different things. We're gonna very important. Medicare and Medicaid are going to be strengthened, not hurt. You know, they're using fake narrative. Oh, we're going to. No, they're going to be strengthened. We're going to strengthen them. They're going to destroy them because under their policies, Medicare and Medicaid go away. Social Security under them is going to be devastated. With us, it's going to be kept, but much stronger than before. And very interestingly, I saw this and I proved it because for 4 years, I never hurt Medicare, Medicaid, or Social Security. I've already been there. But they're going to destroy Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. They're going to wipe them out, in my opinion, because their policies are so bad, the country will have no money to pay for them. We're going to make them stronger than ever before. Thank you very much, everybody.
And that's the end of the press conference. And listen, we've stretched the press conference about 2 hours, right? And I appreciate y'all tapping in for the stream. Now, quick break. I know we just listened to the president. We had a young man come on and debate, and I've been reading through the comments real quick. If it's your first time here, thank you for tapping in with your boy. I'm the hip hop lobbyist. I'm a professional lobbyist in the state of Florida. I've been doing it 15 years. And guess what? Somebody asked me earlier, am I anti-Trump or pro-Trump before they support? I told them, you know what? I am pro the American people. I'm not anti-Trump. I'm not pro-Trump. I am pro the American people, getting out of the narratives, getting out of the nonsense that the Republican Party and the Democratic Party or any third party can spew out there and divide the people of America. Because you know what? It's too much out there. And my opinion doesn't come from someone who said, hey, I want to work in politics. He's a lobbyist. Somebody's in his back. No, guess what? I represent nonprofits. I need a seat at the table. When I was 13, like I said earlier, I had to go get a job because my mom told me, guess what? You need to go work to make sure that you can feed yourself and also put food on your back to go to school. And it wasn't the fact of what's being poor. It was just the economy at the time, right? And overall, I've took that job to that position and say, you know what? I understand people because I work with people. Customer service my entire life. From being a neighborhood bag boy, a neighborhood banker, working overnight at Target. And I was like, listen, even to a point, sidebar, I don't support the Target boycott that Reverend Jamal Bryant's pushing because I remember the mothers and grandmothers I used to work with overnight who had multiple kids or grandkids and their daughter may have been strung out on crack and they needed an extra job to work from 10 at night to 7 in the morning just to make sure their grandbaby was okay. So I'm not supporting the Target boycott because I remember working those 10 to 7 shifts with those older ladies and remembering that piece. But my main point is, no, I was 13 I was born in 85. So what's that, 98? For what it is. To the main point, I want to thank everyone for tapping in for the stream so far. I'm going to tell you this. I started off with 347 subs in April. This stream alone, we've surpassed 3,000 subs. We have over 3,200 subscribers, and vertically live streaming is the way we've done it here on YouTube. Because you know what I felt and I realized I'm making a personal connection with people. Jade, we had Johnny 5, and some other people. We had Hello Kitty here earlier, and some other folks who may have tapped in. CC, thank you for being here as well. But more than anything, I'm going to get to the Rand Paul piece. We have some governors that are currently testifying before a congressional committee on sanctuary cities. They've been going all day. The Rand Paul thing is only 8 minutes. So I'm going to go to Rand Paul next and see why he was, as they brought up in the end, uninvited or re-invited back to the White House. We're going to hear from Rand Paul. Then we're going to go to the governor's piece, see what they're saying there, pull in some other information. And I believe one other thing I have to do, somebody asked in the chat, was to find the Republican city in California where they're taking over. I'm going to find that for you before we get out of here, right? Either way, I appreciate y'all tapping in, but even before we get here, something I did say to do, I was going to do. Got to stay on task, right? We read through the bill. We read through the bill itself. This is the joint resolution. So when they're talking about laws sometimes, I always say on this channel, it's in the laws and the statute. And this joint resolution that the president signed today that he talked about bans California's basic mandate that they pushed through in December of 2024, one of the last initiatives that Biden did push this through. But one thing that's very critical about this, as I'm on the website, the congressional.gov website, let's look at how many people actually voted for this, which I did talk about earlier, right? So I'm going to go to actions here, and I'm going to go to House roll call vote, Senate roll call vote, which will show me, as you'll see here, it'll basically give me the times and people who have voted on it, right? So let's actually go through and see, as I said earlier, this isn't all the Democrats. So who voted for it, right? And as you see, it wasn't a whole busload of Democrats. 35 Democrats said, you know what? We actually support the fact of removing this provision. 164 said no. 164 voting with the grain, while 35 were brave enough, well, 14 didn't vote, 35 are brave enough to say, you know what, we actually do see the impact. But who are these Democrats? Who are these Democrats that voted yay? Out of Alabama. Figures. Shamari Figures. I'll make sure y'all see it. Y'all see it, right? So I don't want this to be a race thing. I don't want it to be a whatever thing. I'm like, damn, let's at least look at the people that voted for this. So we have the gentleman that represents Mobile, Alabama, Shamari Figures. He voted for the bill, along with, go back to Alabama, my girl at, I did see her name. Wait. Oh, Democrat. Terry Sewell, another Democrat, voted against it, right? Hometown of Birmingham. So we have 2 Democrats in a southern state that voted for this. And I'm not going to do every Democrat. Let me look at my boy, Jared Moskowitz, meanest shoe game in the Congress, at least, representing Parkland. And my man, Darren Soto, right? The first Puerto Rican member of the United States Congress, right? So we have a good mix of Democrats, pretty diverse. And for what I know about Florida, Darren and Moskowitz represent 2 different dialects of people. And on what I know about Alabama, they represent 2 dialects of Democrats there as well. So it's to a point where you didn't have a lot of Democrats supporting it. I'm trying to see like where the Democrats were. We got Alabama. What about Georgia? Any Bishop? Oh, wait a minute. Sanford Bishop. Okay. So it's a point of saying, okay, you know what? Maybe it can't happen here. But we needed to, because other Democrats, Lucy McBath, David Scott, Williams, and Johnson, they voted no. But something about Bishop, he said, you know, there's something about this bill I'm just not. So Democrats, I wouldn't say they're split, but most of them didn't vote for this. What about out of New York? Out of New York, you see, shit. That's my girl. No, that's not my girl. That's Josh Riley. Basically, there's some 35 Democrats who voted for the bill that Trump signed into law today. Not bipartisan, but it's there. Now let's see if any senators, from the numbers, it looked like maybe 2. Senator by home state. Florida, Moody said yes, Scott said yes. Alabama, yes. What about California? California, nay and nay. Okay, you already know what it is. New York, nay and nay. New Hampshire, Maryland, what we get? So a lot of nays and nays. I don't see a yes and nay in here anywhere. Missouri, Mississippi voted yes. Alabama voted yes. And these are the senators in these states. Georgia, Orsoff and Warnock voted no, so they voted more Democratic. And it said, I don't see any real Democrats that may have voted yes in the Senate. So they're voting more party lines in the Senate, as we see. In the House, they had a little bit more free reign. So yeah, I did promise that we're going to go through the votes there for what it is. It did pass the Senate. But like I said earlier, let's go to Rand Paul. That's not it. And then we'll go to the governors.
Come from my office, and it's kind of a great time of the year in the summer. My family comes up. My son and daughter-in-law and grandson are coming up because we were going to the White House picnic, but I've just been told that I've been uninvited from the picnic. I think I'm the first senator in the history of the United States to be uninvited to the White House picnic. The White House is owned by the taxpayers. We all are members of it. Every Democrat will be invited. Every Republican will be invited, but I will be the only one disallowed to come on the grounds of the White House. I just find this incredibly petty. I mean,
real quick, I'll see your question. This is actually the Senate joint resolution that Trump just had a press conference for about the electric vehicle mandate in California, about removing that. That's actually what we went through and looked at, the actual joint resolution itself, that language, on top of people who voted for that bill as well. So at least giving a glimpse of the 35 Democrats who supported it, the 164 Republicans Democrats voted against it. No Republicans voted against it. But it was funny, or not funny, but at least interesting to see that some Democrats, for whatever reasons, representing different tribes of folks throughout the country, they supported the bill for some odd reason. Well, some, not all.
I think nothing but polite to the president. I have been a intellectual opponent, a public policy opponent, and he's chosen now to uninvite me from the picnic and to say my grandson can't come to the picnic. I just the level of immaturity is beyond words. You know, I've been here long enough that if anybody has ever followed me, I've been a critic of Obama, I've been a critic of Biden, I've been a critic of the previous Trump, but always in a, I think, a reasonable fashion along policy. And so they've decided they want to declare war on my family
in my life in person.
Exclude us from the
Y'all, for
White
some
House.
odd reason,
I just think it's incredibly petty.
Love
and
giving
I
me
hope
Trick
someone will
Daddy
ask
on
them some
stream.
questions
Right.
about how they've decided to sink to this step.
What was the explanation given to you?
No explanation. We're just not welcome. But you have to get a ticket, and we've always gotten tickets. I mean, I've been to 10 White House picnics. There's like Easter egg rolls, there's picnics. This is for Congress. And I think what's particularly galling about it is, I don't know if this came from the president on down, let's hope not, but if not, it's coming from his petty staffers who have been running a sort of a paid influencer campaign against me for 2 weeks on Twitter. If you look at my Twitter, it's just gobs and gobs of these people. We know they're being paid because the White House, someone has told us that the White House called them from the White House and offered them money to attack me online. So we have that, and now we're uninvited to the picnic. And it's like, I don't know, it's just incredibly petty, and it shows that, look, I'm arguing from a true belief and worry that our country is mired in debt and getting worse, and they choose to react by uninviting my grandson to the picnic. I don't know. I just think it really makes me lose a lot of respect I once had for Donald Trump.
You were already a no on the bill because of the debt limit increase that was included in it, but hypothetically they could change that and get you to yes. Does this make you less likely to get to yes? I mean,
well, when they tell you your grandson can't come to a picnic at the White House that all of Congress is allowed to come to, I don't know. It just shows such a pettiness. But they've shown over the last week they don't care about my vote at all. Because I've told them I
need
can and would
Rand Paul vote. All Rand Paul has done, honestly, is highlight the fact of, and we've seen this on previous streams, said it on previous streams, that he doesn't agree with the debt ceiling. That lifting the debt ceiling an extra $4 trillion to $5 trillion, right? Maybe $2 trillion, because we're already $37 trillion in debt. Remember when you talked about California's $1 trillion GDP earlier? $14 trillion GDP, but they're $4 billion in debt. No, sorry, $12 billion in debt. What Rand Paul's trying to say is that, listen, we can't afford to still be in debt. We can't afford to just pay this on my grandkids' tax dollars and leave the bill for them. Which I completely understand. Nobody wants to leave debt for their future generations. That's bad karma. But there's a point of saying they need his vote because they don't have the 60 to override all of them. There's going to be no Democrats out of the 47 or 46. I think they have 1 or 2 independents caucusing with them. And you have a leader like Rand Paul, yes, a leader, who's saying, you know what, I'm standing on business too. We're going to see what Trump going to do.
If the debt ceiling were taken off of it. So conceivably, there might be some situation in which they needed my vote. Instead, they have decided to try to attack my character. They've misdirected people, saying he's a Democrat, he's for open borders, and all this craziness online, because I think I'm having some effect with the argument on the debt. Having effect that we have a $2 trillion deficit this year. They like to blame it on Democrats.
Easier said than done, Salty.
Spending levels right now are Republican spending levels.
Salty, the biggest issue that a lot of people get from state government going to federal government is a balanced budget. In the state of Florida, the reason they're still debating our budget, it's been the longest legislative session in Florida's history this year. They have to balance the budget. 0 to 0. Dollar for dollar, penny for penny, got to match up. Every project, everything from education, healthcare, jails, correction, mentorship, Holocaust survivors, elder abuse, everything needs to be accounted for, down to the penny. Federal government doesn't operate that way. And the issue is we want the federal government to operate how we do personally, or how the states do, how local governments do. But they don't. Because they realize it's a game. And your elected officials, again, I'm sharing a perspective from people who have a person who has an individual on this stream who has elected someone to Congress. They're only raising money for the party once they get there. They're not worried about balancing the budget. They're not worried about minimum wage. They're not worried about your living wage. they understand that if they feed you the narrative, you will never go to congress.gov and look at the bill, see who voted, and understand why the fuck they voted. And the people who do, they know that there's a select few, maybe 10 to 15 people who've actually seen it and say, you know what, this person actually watched, but they're not the masses. We are the masses. There are more people on this stream who paid attention and read the bill that President Trump signed into law today than people who actually know what the fuck they're talking about on social media. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Because even on social media, go down your Instagram, they're not going to tell you, hey, here's the bill. Oh, wait, here's the bill. Here's the text. They're not doing that. They're just going to tell you the narrative. Let's get out of the narrative as a people. Make sure you like and subscribe.
If they vote to raise the debt ceiling $5 trillion, the debt will be the responsibility of Republicans. And so how do they choose to respond? They're afraid of what I'm saying, so they think they're going to punish me. I can't go to the picnic, as if somehow that's going to make me more conciliatory. So it's silly in a way, but it's also just really sad that this is what it's come to. But petty vindictiveness like this, I don't know. It makes you wonder about the quality of people you're dealing with.
How much of your family was disinvited? How many people were supposed to come?
My son and daughter-in-law and my grandson are coming up on a flight, and they would be here in the morning, and then we go there tomorrow afternoon. And my wife and I, we probably have been every year. President Obama didn't disinvite us. The former President Trump didn't disinvite us. Biden didn't disinvite us. And we always did this. You know, you'll hear people around town say, "Oh, I'm not going to the Christmas party because it's President Obama's White House." It's our White House. It's the Americans' White House. We all pay for it. And we've always gone to the Christmas parties, whether it was a Republican or a Democrat. We've gone to the...
You know why? Because they're friends for real. Think about that to my Republican friends, my Democratic friends. And that's why I sit here like, you know what, damn. I can be bipartisan. Remember, I'm not bisexual, I'm bipartisan. So that means that I understand that there's real friendships that happen behind closed doors. These people will vacation together. Their wives will go shopping together. They will have a good damn time while they spin the block on the narrative for you. Oh, this is what we're going to put out. This is what we're going to put out. All right, cool. We still good. We still going to the Poconos? Are we still going to Santorini, Greece together on our family trip? Because guess what, bro? I like you. I didn't know you before I got to the chamber, but we're best friends together. And guess what? You can be president. I can be senator. And we can argue in the press. Behind closed door, we sharing that Hennessy. We sharing that weed together. We may be sharing some cocaine and some prostitutes together. That's what they do. And not just in the state of Florida. All across all 50 states. YouTube, don't bug me for that. I'm just being real. Can I be real, YouTube? These people are friends in policy, in politics together. And they spin a narrative for you to be divisive. And that's why when a young man, Bryson, came on stream earlier, like, you know what, we can't teach the young people. No, we need to teach the young people to understand that, listen, we're all being lied to. We're all being pimped by the process. Because they know that you're so busy that you can only watch this on your phone right now because I'm broadcasting it live to you. You're probably scrolling YouTube shorts and say, you know, what is this? I didn't scroll across. You didn't stop here and you didn't stay. Thank you for stopping. But it's a divisiveness that Republicans and Democrats love to use. That's why they won't show you the bill. That's why they won't check this out. And I said it about my girl, Jasmine Crockett, respectfully. I love her. But you notice that she'll talk about the Trump shit. They'll talk about Project 2025. And not even Jasmine Crockett, Roland Martin for the culture. You notice these motherfuckers know the process and they ain't teaching you shit? I was with Ben Crump's former business partner he sat at our table at lunch the other day, and guess what? I know I called Ben Crump a poverty pimp. And they didn't bring it up to me. And I know they probably had a conversation, but guess what? You got to understand, when these people know the process and they know how to change the laws and they know that all they have to do is spin the block on your emotions about bullshit, they're going to do it. And not just Democrats, not just the poverty pimps that are black, the Republicans too. The fear tactics they put on you, hey, listen, these immigrants come and take your job. Didn't Trump just say to y'all, it's impacting the farmers, it's impacting the hotel and leisure companies. We're only going after the criminals. He done told y'all for years. They're coming to take your jobs. We got to build the wall. But guess what? If they build a wall and they're here illegally and they work at a farm or a hotel, they're good to stay.
Egg roll.
That's what he told y'all.
We like going to celebrate stuff in our nation's capital with our family. And I don't know. It's just, I think, a really sad day that this is the level of warfare they've stooped to. but it's also not very effective. It probably has the opposite result. You know, it doesn't make me have a real warm, fuzzy feeling for the White House that they're telling my family can't come to the White House. So I don't know. I just disappointed more than anything.
What does it say about Trump's character, in your opinion?
I know the stream ain't freeze. I know Forbes ain't freeze.
Casually talking about getting rid of
I was
habeas
about to
corpus.
say.
Habeas corpus is when, you know, a tyrant throws someone in jail. They can plead to a lawyer who says, show me the body. You have to prove why someone's put in jail. It's one of the most fundamental rights we have. And the same people that are directing this campaign are the same people that casually would throw out parts of the Constitution and suspend habeas corpus. So I think what it tells that they don't like hearing me say stuff like that. And so they want to quiet me down, and it hasn't worked. And so they're going to try to attack me, and they're going to try to destroy me in other ways, and then do petty little things like social occasions or whatever. But it probably will not work. It probably will not make me cow down or bend to their will.
You're talking about Stephen Miller.
Do you think Stephen Miller uninvited you from the White House?
I don't know. I think that it's somebody. If that's the truth, I'm a big boy.
Oh, I appreciate you, Jade.
In another park, you know, we can go to the mall. But it's just really kind of sad that this is where we are, and that they think that this is somehow in their prerogative to sort of, I mean, literally every Democrat is invited, every Republican is invited, and to say that my family's no longer welcome, kind of sad actually. My grandson has a Make America Great hat. My son and daughter-in-law, they like Donald Trump. I like Donald Trump. But when they want to act this way, it's where they begin to lose a lot of America who just wonders, why does everything have to descend to this level? Why can't anything be more highbrow and more of an intellectual discussion where we have a disagreement, but it doesn't have to descend to this?
You think Stephen Miller should be working in the White House? Do you think Stephen Miller should be working in the White House?
I'm just going to leave it at that.
How did they let you know about
Well, we just tried to get our tickets, and they said you're not invited.
And how old is your grandson?
He's almost 6 months old.
Okay, he's a little guy. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we may bring him tomorrow with us, Make America Great hat.
And can you just to answer the other question about the character of, if not the president, the White House itself, do you see this as part of the campaign of retribution, sort of?
There is a bigger campaign going on against libertarians. People are writing about it. But really, it's not libertarians, it's people who choose to stand up to the president. And I've stood up to the president on the debt, but no differently than I stood up to Biden or to Obama. I've stood up to them on tariffs, and they don't like it. They don't want to have a reasonable argument or a discussion over the policy. They think they're going to somehow needle me or get me by disinviting my grandson to the...
Oh, I get that. I mean, I'm a fan of Rand Paul. I met Rand Paul one time when I was in D.C., outside the U.S. Capitol. Cool guy from the conversation, but this isn't my fight. He has a fight with Trump. But what I'm going to get back here is, I said earlier, we have some governors that have sanctuary cities in their state. They'll testify before a House committee today. We have Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and New York Governor Kathy Hochul, I believe I said it, for the House Oversight Committee. Let's turn the volume up here. I'm going to read through the chat. I appreciate y'all tapping in more than anything today with your boy, man. We had on 200,000 people tapped in with a laptop, phone, TV, stream. I appreciate y'all with your boy today, man. Thank you.
Or moms with new
Well,
babies.
we know when people are eligible, the question is people who are not citizens who are overstaying a student or work visa. Are they
People
eligible?
are making their own way here in the state of New York. In fact, I have 400,000 open jobs. I wish you could.
You're
help
not
find a
answering the
path-
question.
Uh-oh.
I take it to mean.
Uh-oh.
I'm just
Give
by
us
the
more
second,
work
I just want you to answer
authorizations.
the
Let's
question.
put them to work.
Oh.
Let's put them to work.
But you refuse to answer the question. If somebody is otherwise eligible for low-income housing or food stamps or medical care in New York, do you believe they should be entitled to those benefits?
There's
as an
not a
American?
blanket answer to that. It depends on which provision of the social services law. In some cases, it's allowed. In some cases, it's not.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Ms. Simon from Arizona.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I would hope that I am also able to go over my time.
I'm sorry, California.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and I, as my colleague did, I am allowed to also go over my time.
Good point, Gary. Retract if we build a wall.
Well, I've been very fair. You've had Mr. Frost went over a minute and a half.
Okay, I'm just asking. Thank you.
Well, Charlotte,
I appreciate that, sir. I just wanted to
I
make,
didn't say you could.
They're arguing there a little bit. Charlotte, I agree with you, but I don't honestly feel watch head of state. This is how government works, and distinguished gentlemen. Charlotte, respectfully, I worked in politics. I've been working in politics for 15 years. There's nothing in those movies that'll make me an expert in politics. That just spins the fan of the flames on the narrative for real. If you want to learn politics, learn how to write a statute. Actually, go to your capital, go to your city commission meetings, your county commission meetings, and learn how process actually happens on a day-to-day basis. And then try to see how you can take it to a higher level of government and actually make it. But watching those movies ain't gonna give you shit. I'm sorry, respectfully.
Waries. I've worked with young people who have been victims of gun violence and literally have had to scrub blood off the streets. There is nothing that anyone can say to a family, I get it, that is grieving. We have a lot of work to do, not just here in this country, around the world, to deter violence. I come from a state, the 4th largest economy in the world, with the best public education, higher public education system in this country. In fact, at California, Berkeley, we lead some of the research that are keeping folks here and your relatives alive. Those labs and that research is being attacked by this administration, but I digress.
No, I'm not embarrassed to be supporting the left.
I have a number of questions.
I'm a Clippers fan, a Boston Red Sox fan.
Hearing has been so difficult.
I'm used to the rebuild.
Not only was I a victim advocate for many
Pittsburgh
years,
Penguins.
working with folks who had
Manchester United. I am used to a rebuild.
Victimized by rape.
That's all Democrats are now. A
I
rebuild
also led the
phase.
Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights of the San Francisco Bay Area that was founded by JFK, and our asylum clinic honored the work of this country by supporting folks who came here escaping tyranny and violence to just be met by an immigration system day after day that spat in their face. I'm thankful to both to the private bar and our
Take a picture from my man John so you can
doing
see it.
their
Hold on.
American duty by supporting people who are leaving tyranny. I have actually one question. I'm concerned that we're deflating the conversation around public safety. It's my understanding that the current administration, and this question goes to you, Ms. Perriman, has deducted or stopped payments.
Yeah, we fucked up when we let Mookie Betts go. I ain't gonna hold you.
In local public safety funding around the country. With my time remaining, can you talk to us a little bit about this very hypocritical moment in time where we're uplifting public safety and yet we're taking resources away from communities, police departments, community safety leaders, and organizations that are taking guns out of kids' hands? Give us a little bit of the flavor. Talk about what money has been taken away from communities under this administration.
Yes, since January, the administration has abruptly terminated a range of funding and grants for community programs across the country, including grants under the Office of Justice Programs, which was obviously a law that President Reagan signed. And there's been over 800 million grants and funding that have been abruptly terminated that we are having to litigate right now. They have also cut off funding for programs.
Yeah, Mookie's one of my favorites too, for real.
That help lawyers and law enforcement.
Big Poppy,
in
they
what
Mo
they're
Vaughn.
doing in communities across the country to keep people safe. And then I know.
Hold on. Red Sox fan, Nomar, Pedro, Big Poppy, Kevin Youkilis, Mookie Betts, and my boy, Jared Saltalamacchia. Jared Saltalamacchia and I, the longest last name in MLB history. We were in middle school and high school together. My man has been a bona fide pro his entire life. Now I know he's coaching, I believe, Kings Academy down in South Florida. Salute to the big Salty, man. Salty, he's been the man since middle school. I think his brother played in the major leagues too. But he won with them boys, the Boston Red Sox. You know what time it is. Let me get back to this.
Yes.
This isn't a sports podcast, sports page.
And so,
but I'm a Red Sox fan. Let's go, man. Shout out to the Red Sox Nation. Go ahead, like, subscribe for your boy.
Including violence prevention and gun safety programs. Would you say this administration is making us more safe or less safe?
Karen? Oh, shit, y'all wild.
Any members, any other governors? Do you have any? I have a few seconds.
We have programs that we work with the federal government between cities, law enforcement, and federal government law enforcement that are being torn apart. And, drug task forces, our gang task forces, gun task forces, this is making us less safe.
grants for rape kits and rape investigations, the dismemberment of the Department of Education, including the Office of Civil Rights that investigated rape and sexual assault on college campuses, decimated. I would agree that our administration is making us less safe. Thank you, and I yield back. Thank you, Chairman, for the extra time.
Chair recognizes Mr. Perry from Pennsylvania.
Uh-oh.
Mr. Chairman.
I gotta find another stream for this so y'all can actually see the people asking the questions. I'm gonna find another one and switch it over. Give me 1 second, y'all, because I don't like the fact of not being able to see the congressional members.
About your thoughts
I don't give a fuck who's at the hearing for real.
Governor Pritzker, you said, I think numerous times now, that the president
Yes, sir.
broke
Okay.
the law.
I found one. I'm gonna switch this over. Give me 1 second, y'all. It's not, this quality doesn't look as good as this other one. I'll be real with you.
So was Washington beyond his scope? Did he overstep?
What?
What about inciting riots
I'm just
on
asking
January
if he
6th
did.
at the Capitol, right
We're
in this building?
Sir,
What you're asking.
I'm asking, you're saying he's breaking the law.
Yes.
Ms.
He
Hochul,
has broken
Governor
the law,
Hochul,
and he
you're
is
also
breaking
an attorney. How about Abraham Lincoln, 1862? Did he do it?
Oh.
The abuse of power is an overreach into the
Okay.
responsibility
How about
of
Dwight
state
Eisenhower? Did he do it? When he mobilized?
in situations where
John
you're
Kennedy.
overruling.
John Kennedy.
You seriously don't want an
Twice.
answer from me.
John
I won't
F.
even
Kennedy.
bother.
How about
Oh,
Lyndon
damn,
Johnson,
God.
1865, 1965, and 67, and 68? Is that you're saying that's against the law? What the president is now doing? Are you guys? You're the attorneys here, and I'm not talking to Governor Walz here because he's not an attorney. He called himself a knucklehead, so I'm leaving him out
Governor
of this
from
right
New York
now.
came with
Are
that.
you guys familiar with sections 251 through 255 of Title 10 of the U.S. Code?
The conditions under which a president may usurp the authority of a governor in activating the National Guard is under an invasion or an insurrection. I would argue that neither one of those.
Governor
standards have
Hochul,
been met.
I would refer you to Section 253. I'm not going to bore everybody with reading it for you.
White on white crime
You're
for the
wrong.
people
And
out
to
there.
accuse the president,
For the people out there in these streets.
quite honestly, that's the least that you.
If you always talk about black on black crime, Chicago, white on white crime happens in D.C., Washington, D.C., Chocolate City, in the capital.
Say he's not one. We'd love to hear it. But also that the law enforcement agents are Nazis with Gestapo-like tactics. Governor Walz, you mentioned that in a commencement speech. Now, let me ask you, I'm going to ask each three of you this.
Jay, you wildin', bro.
8 CFR 287.7. It arises from the Secretary's power under Section 103A3 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, the INA. So do Sections 236, 241, 287. Are those things laws that should be followed and enforced? Are you okay with those things being laws and enforced or not?
For federal immigration laws are designed to be enforced by the federal government.
So you're okay. You're okay with that? Is that each one of you?
The state cooperates.
I don't know what you read. I don't have that in front of me.
These are laws, Governor Walz, that are on the books. It's the Immigration and Nationalities Act, and those are sections of them, as is 8 U.S.C. 1226A, 8 U.S.C. 1357A2, 8 U.S.C. 1357A4, 8 U.S.C. 1357A5.
Would the gentleman provide copies of that for the witnesses? If you're going to cite a law, you provide a copy for the witnesses typically.
Oh, damn. Damn, you heard that? Check. Mike Check had his mic cut off. Oh, Jesus.
Let's just assume that these are laws. Let's just assume I'm not lying to you, that these are laws on the books right now. Are you okay with them being enforced?
You might be asking us a lot. Governors don't get to deal in hypotheticals.
Okay, so putting myself on the these are laws. These are current laws on the books regarding immigration and naturalization.
We abide by all of those laws.
You will abide by all these laws.
We abide by federal law.
Governor Hochul, do you abide?
State law.
We follow all state and federal laws.
Governor Walz, do you abide?
We abide by
Is
all
there
laws
any
of due process.
detainer? Is there any ICE detainer that you will reject? That you will instruct your law enforcement community or corrections facilities and enforcement community in your states to reject anyone for any reason? A legal ICE detainer under the laws that I just cited.
Every jurisdiction in Minnesota follows the law.
Every single one.
Okay, and his gentleman's time's expired, but feel free to answer the question, Governor Walz.
Governor Pritzker?
We follow all laws, state.
But you don't. That's my point.
In
You
Minnesota,
actually don't.
there's
I want
a
you to
Florida
say you will, because we hope you will, but you
Well, the-
actually don't, and you haven't,
Well, the
which is
courts-
why we have
the
this
courts will
horrific
determine
mess.
that.
I yield.
Can we allow their witness to answer? That'd be great. Thanks.
Chair recognizes Ms. Ansari from Arizona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much, governors, for being here. I am the proud daughter of immigrants who fled an authoritarian regime, and it is especially devastating as a first-generation American to watch Donald Trump's reckless, cruel, and radical policies transform this country into an authoritarian regime.
Uh-oh.
Mr. Perry just mocked us for referring to Donald Trump as a dictator, so let's run through the list. Donald Trump has, since he was inaugurated, pardoned violent January 6 insurrectionists. Dictator. Defied Supreme Court orders and attacked the judiciary. Dictator. Unilaterally abolished congressionally chartered
My
federal
bad, y'all. I'm
agencies.
just trying to
Dictator.
flip some
Attacked the free
channels out,
press.
pages out.
Sounds like a dictator. Kidnapped people off of the streets and deported them to foreign prisons without due process. Sounds like a dictator. Defunded higher education. Dictator. Threatened law firms.
See, and I'll be real with you. Like, I'm a Democrat, but I hate this bullshit. I understand he may act like a dictator, right? Cool. There's still some checks and balances. Because you've seen the judges have been killing this shit. You've seen that some of the Republicans like Rand Paul aren't going for the $4 trillion debt that's being added to the $37 trillion that we're already in. It could be more. I just hate the fact of, respectfully, Democrats who just spin the block on bullshit, bruh. Congresswoman Ansari, your people didn't elect you for this shit. I'm sorry, respectfully. They didn't elect you just to take Democratic talking points and then just run the same shit that they have on MSNBC. The people elected you for a reason to talk shit about what matters to the main point. So why are you bringing these Democrats up here? These Democratic governors from sanctuary cities? Talk about some real shit, not just a dictator shit. That's all I'm saying. Like, respectfully, I love Democrats. I love Republicans too. Remember, I'm not bisexual. I'm bipartisan, right? I understand that you need both sides of this shit, but the narrative is what we don't need.
I can tell you that the actions of this administration towards immigrants and immigrant communities is a blatant abuse of power, but more importantly, these steps are harming our economy and our national security. So I want to ask you a little bit about that. Governor Walz, can you share the ways in which immigrants contribute economically to your state?
Well, thank you, Congresswoman. Well, there's no aspect in Minnesota life that they're not involved, whether it's economically and the impact that they make, whether it's involved in the arts and the culture that Minnesota is very proud of, whether they're in higher professions, medical students, engineers. And Minnesota is proud to have an immigrant heritage. We sat on the land of the Dakota and the Anishinaabe, and all the rest of us came through via immigration. And so the impact is widespread. It's intertwined. It may have been the Norwegians and the Swedes, then the Hmongs and the Somalis, but it's the same story, coming to America for a chance to start and then contribute to a better state.
Thank you so much, Governor Walz. And in fact, according to the American Community Survey, immigrants paid $382 billion in federal taxes and $196.3 billion in state and local taxes in 2022. Undocumented immigrants using individual tax identification numbers paid $59.4 billion in federal and $13.6 billion in state and local taxes in 2022. Governor Pritzker, you recently called immigrants the anchors of their communities. How does Donald Trump's mass deportation project harm the security of your state and instill fear throughout Illinois communities?
Thank you very much, Congresswoman. Let me be clear. The home raids that occurred in the first week of the Trump administration drove people into hiding. It ruined the entire area of commerce for our Mexican-American community, where people who were documented, people who are citizens actually, had to go into hiding because they know people that are undocumented. They didn't want to get picked up and having to talk about somebody that they know that's undocumented. You could see it was a ghost town. It was a ghost town. We've had people who are working, I'm talking about for decades, who've raised families, who are paying taxes in my state, who have had to flee. And these are good people. These are our neighbors. These are people that are bringing culture and art to our communities, people that should be given an opportunity, if we had good immigration laws, to apply to stay legally in this country and maybe to become U.S. citizens. Indeed, many of them have proven themselves to be maybe more worthy than some people who are already U.S. citizens. Let's give them an opportunity. So I can tell you that it's had a profoundly negative impact on my state, that Donald Trump has been attacking people who are not the problem. Let's go after people. If you're talking about terrorists, and one of the congressmen mentioned that, let's go after terrorists. Let us know who they are. We will go arrest a terrorist any day of the week, every day of the week.
Governor Hochul, if you could also answer.
I'm very proud to represent the state that has the Statue of Liberty in our harbor. Millions of migrants and immigrants have passed through, including my own grandparents. My grandfather was a migrant farm worker. They are an important part of our identity, our economy. The diversity of New York is what sets us apart and makes us so fascinating and so desirable for businesses large and small. They are so critical to our identity and our existence. And I'm really hurt. It hurts me as the leader of a state where people are living in fear in the shadows. People can't go to school. They can't worship. They can't go get health care. They can't go to their senior center. What is happening has been traumatic. It's unnecessary. We will help every day of the week to get rid of people who commit crimes that never should have come here or commit crimes here. That is my number one job. But what is happening is un-American.
Chair recognizes Mr. Timmons from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Governor Hochul, the difference is that the millions of Americans that came through Ellis Island did so legally. I'll yield to my friend from Georgia, Ms. Greene.
Here we go.
Thank you. Governor Hochul, are you a Democrat? Yes or no?
I'm a proud registered Democrat, yes.
Did you support Joe Biden for president? Yes or no?
Yes, I did.
Here we go.
Did you support the Biden administration's policies for the past 4 years?
Here we go.
I raised my concerns in many
That's
meetings
a yes
with the
or no
administrations
question.
about how the border was being enforced, and so I raised concerns.
So
I
you
said-
just stated, I'll reclaim my time, you said you're a proud Democrat. You supported Joe Biden for president. Clearly, you supported the Biden administration's policies.
I've
Did
supported
you
many of
swear,
them, yes,
Governor
I have.
Hochul, did you swear an oath to faithfully uphold New York's Constitution and laws?
I certainly did.
In 2017, New York became a sanctuary state when Governor Cuomo signed Executive Order 170. This states, it directs that no state officers or employees, including law enforcement officers, shall disclose information to federal immigration authorities for the purpose of federal civil immigration enforcement unless required by the law. Do you support this law as governor of New York?
Yes, this pertains to civil enforcement.
So you do enforce sanctuary policies of New York?
I supporting helping law enforcement and ICE when it comes to.
Thank
dealing
you.
with
I
real
reclaim my
criminals.
time. You support sanctuary policies that have led to the horrific murder of people, Americans. This Fox News got it wrong. It should say monster. Arrested in broad daylight rape of a 13-year-old in a New York park. This girl was raped at knife point in the park near New York Mets Stadium. That's your state, Governor Hochul. New York Post also got it wrong and called him a migrant. That's a monster. Busted in brutal beating of New York PD cops in Times Square are members of bloodthirsty Trinde Aragua gangs. That's your state where you support your sanctuary state laws. Also, Governor Hochul, do you recognize this image where a homeless woman was burned alive by an illegal alien monster, where you uphold the laws to protect these monsters in your state, and then you force the New York citizens that pay taxes to pay for these people?
Wow.
This is the result
Narrative.
of your sick and disgusting treasonous laws that you uphold as governor.
New York is not a
I
sanctuary
didn't
state for
recognize you,
criminals.
Ms. Hochul. This is my time.
Damn.
Do you know the name Laken Riley?
Damn. Here we go.
Do you know the name Laken Riley?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do. Jose Ibarra murdered 22-year-old Laken Riley. He's an illegal alien monster from Venezuela, convicted of 10 charges. He was first arrested by the Biden administration that you stated that you support.
Here
Joe
we
Biden
go.
for president, right? Proud Democrat, Governor Hochul. First arrested at the border and released by the Democrats that you support. Then, guess what? He made it to New York because the Biden administration flew illegals all over the country, and your state was one that accepted them. He lived at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Queens, an upscale hotel that was turned into an illegal alien shelter at the taxpayers' expense. $2 million a month went to this hotel. The second time he was arrested was in the state of New York for endangering a child. But he was released quickly before ICE could even issue a detainer, because you support those laws, Governor Hochul. Then he flew, get this is shocking. He flew from the state of New York to my home state in Georgia, and you all paid for it. Because, why? Because it was reticketing. And that was the little gift that you were giving my state by sending monsters there. Cost the state of New York $5 to $10 million a day to feed and house.
Somebody said they're gonna give me $5 if I put
quite a smile on your face.
a clown face over Marjorie Taylor Greene on stream.
This is my time.
I'm waiting for the $5 to roll in, bro.
Thinking about
Don't you dare smile about the murder of Laken Riley.
Thinking about her parents.
The third time,
Don't question how I look.
Jose
My heart is breaking for her
my
parents.
time, Governor Hochul. The third time he was arrested was in the sanctuary city of Athens, another Democrat policy. And then he went on and attempted to rape Laken
I'm waiting on the money first.
And murdered her. He murdered her. Let me explain something to you. This little girl right here, she would be alive today if you weren't such a treasonous governor supporting sanctuary laws in the state of New York. This little girl would be alive today,
chat.
and her mother very much would like for her to be alive. This is outrageous. For anybody in this country to support for non-citizens to be able to come in our country, be able to travel wherever they want, and then make taxpayers pay to house them, feed them, and then give them a plane ticket after they had been arrested in their
This is white on white crime at its finest, y'all.
responsible for the murder of this little girl, Laken Riley. And the Department of Justice should prosecute you for her murder.
Objection. Objection.
I don't care how much you object, and if you support it too, you're responsible for her murder.
On a point of order.
Wow.
Point of order.
I'm gonna let this fade before I say my 2 cents. Wow.
Chairman, these witnesses have been here for over 4 hours. They've all voluntarily have been engaging with our members with respect. They've all treated our members with respect.
Laken Riley is dead forever. 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 They can sit there all day.
My time.
Hold on. No, state your point.
I'm trying to.
State your point. No, it's a point of inquiry, not a debate.
Our rules, if you would let me speak.
Let's go.
Our rules of decorum dictate that our witnesses should be treated with respect, and I ask you to enforce decorum and remind committee members to treat our witnesses with respect.
Our members are treating the witnesses with respect. This is not a courtroom. We engage with the witnesses, and I think everybody's acting within the realm. We haven't cried and screamed when you all are criticizing the current president, even though that's in the rules.
White on white crime, y'all.
All right. Maybe
Mr. Chairman.
If you win the chairmanship, if you all flip the House, you win the chairmanship, then you can do what Ms. Crockett says she's going to do and try to impeach Trump again or whatever you're all.
Mr.
Here
Chairman,
we
is there any
go.
chance you would yield me 30 seconds?
That's what I see. Listen. I'm gonna take a hold on.
And I'm so sorry for what happened to her. I truly am what happened. But this has nothing to do with our civil enforcement of the laws. We are always cooperating with criminal investigations, always have, always will. So misstating our policies is not serving the purpose of making sure we have meaningful policies that'll actually move the dime. Why aren't we working together to come up with meaningful immigration reform, secure our borders, do vetting at the border? We're simply asking.
We're going to go back. Okay, Governor, with all due respect.
Oh, shit.
There was no, the policy of the previous administration was an open border. It was an open border. You all supported that. Now you're saying we need.
Point of order.
You were saying you were, no, I mean,
Point of
Ms.
inquiry, whose time is it?
Ocasio-Cortez, I will recognize you because I like you.
Thank you.
But here,
Thank you
just
so
a
much,
second.
Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that.
The border was open, and you all said nothing. All right, now you said we had to pass legislation. We didn't have to pass legislation. Donald Trump secured the border on the first day. Now, there's no question you all have been obstructing and criticizing and failing to work with this administration in trying to apprehend the criminal illegals. That's what this hearing's about. It's not about theater. It's about trying to get a consensus on working with this administration to deport the criminal illegals.
We do it every day of the week,
Not defend all
Mr.
the
Chairman.
people who are over here illegally, to deport the criminal illegals. So
We do it every day of the
everyone's out
week.
Order. I'm going to let Ms. Ocasio-Cortez state her point, and then we're going to go to Ro Khanna.
Oh, we can continue. I was just curious whose time it was, but we can proceed.
right.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a unanimous consent request.
Okay.
I'd like to seek unanimous consent to enter into the record this tweet. Just happened, stunning. Senator Alex Padilla from California was just forcibly removed from the news conference being held by
Without
DHS.
objection to order. You just have to state the title. Go ahead.
This is the title.
Mr. Lynch. Chair recognizes Mr. Lynch.
All right.
Damn.
Mr. Chairman, I have a unanimous consent request. This is
I
from
told y'all
Anderson-
about them damn Democrats. This shit
Unfortunately,
live.
in violation. Judge says U.S. government didn't follow court orders on
Without objection, so ordered.
Deportation. The next one is from Rolling Stone. Trump has now deported multiple U.S. citizens, children with cancer.
Without objection, so ordered.
This is New York Times.
Yeah, this is
LA
free speech at its best. I agree with you,
of the
Jay.
military to cost
This is what the people want.
Without
This
objection,
is what people
so
voted for.
ordered.
And lastly, Secretary Hegseth will not commit to obeying
she
the
hot,
court's
man.
order on Marines in Los
Without
Angeles.
objection to order. Chair recognizes Mr. Khanna from California.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Governor Pritzker, I've admired your moral clarity during these times. You had a speech about a month and a half ago where you said you would not bend the knee to any president of any.
Hold on. Before I get to Khan, Romanian Pitbull said something great. White crime is limited to insults, thankfully. You're very true. It's not like it was back in the 1700s when white on white crime used to act like black on black crime. And hey, let's go have a duel and pull a pistol out and kill somebody. You don't believe me? Go ask Alexander Hamilton, one of the founding fathers of our country, who was killed by, was it Aaron Burr? One of y'all was committed white on white crime back in the day, but they just made it black on black crime because now we're less aggressive. So now it's only words. Now, if we challenge somebody to a duel and slap the shit out of them for disrespecting us, it's a problem as a culture. But this is a new America, 2025. We can't act like we did in the 1700s, right? Cool. But this politics shit, this is the definition of white on white crime for you. Ain't nobody going home with no bloody teeth, no losing teeth. Body ain't gonna ache. They're just gonna be frustrated, mentally frustrated. Be like, damn, I should have said this. But this is what I said instead.
For people who can vote, go to the ballot box and vote. Too many people don't do that, and too many people don't stand up and speak out because they're a little bit afraid. And in this
Very true,
environment,
CC.
I have to say, President Trump has created a situation where people are afraid. They're afraid, and they're afraid they're going to get targeted because that is what's happening under this administration. People are getting individually targeted when they stand up and speak out.
Thank you. Governor Walz,
I'm
thought
racist?
you conducted yourself with such dignity as our vice
Wait,
presidential
I got
candidate,
called a
you ran,
racist?
and many of your former colleagues are really proud of how you ran.
Jay-Z, me?
and
I'm
one
a
of the things
racist?
Even people who voted for President Trump said about you is he's so decent, he's kind.
Hey,
he deals with
Deanie.
people with respect. What is happening in this country that we've started to demonize immigrants? You know, when I grew up in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, it was 99% white. I grew up as an Indian American of Hindu.
Hey, I feel you, Jade. I'm about to get up off the stream in a second.
Demonized.
Got some errands to run.
Different, made to feel like I didn't belong. Something is going on where we've created a permission structure for that. How do we model the kind of decency that you've exhibited so that we become a cohesive community like this country has always been?
Well, Congressman, thank you for the kind words. I think the people
Tata, I appreciate you, man.
to do that. Look,
I try
think
to.
we could all agree these horrific situations that happened that have been highlighted in here.
Hey, Jade, I
we all
appreciate you
have
tapping in for real, man.
The great success stories, and
I really do, man.
on
You've been
Tuesday
great
night
on
at 2
the
a.m.
stream today.
Minnesota has the most closely divided legislature
And I love you
in the
too.
country, 101 to 100. And we passed bipartisan legislation that kept us with a
Many
balanced budget,
blessings.
a AAA bond rating. We invested in our schools, we invested in our roads, and we did it with civility. We did it with an eye to the future, and we did it, Republicans and Democrats, with the idea that we are a nation of immigrants, and people simply
Cortez, you're
want
right,
to make
brother. They're
sure
gonna send your ass back.
that if the laws are being asked to be followed, people are given due process. So I have to tell you, we have a model. It's our Constitution. We have a model on how to do this, and we've done it before. And I would just encourage all of us to be part of the solution rather than just continue to demonize each other.
Thank you, Governor. Governor Hochul, I appreciate your speaking out about the Marines being sent into my state. I was horrified. There's just footage today of Senator Padilla being shoved out. I don't know if people have seen it, but he went to ask Secretary Noem a question, and the police literally grabbed the senator and shoved him out of the room. You know, the Marines, I want to get back to the Marines, though. I mean, the fact is that we have a principle called federalism in this country. No one in Los Angeles asked for the Marines. No one in California asked for the Marines. I mean, do people's
Bro, let's be
voices
for
not
real,
matter?
bro.
What we
And
want
this is
locally?
why, like, no lie. Even Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, you may not like Karen Bass for being a Democrat. You may not like her for being a woman. You may not like her for being black, but guess what? She's the mayor of the city. And she said, guess what? These aren't peaceful protests anymore. She ain't said borderline riots. They're not peaceful. They're riots. They're attacking the police. Anything attacking the police is in there. So, yes, as a Democrat, Mr. Khan, you may be like, yes, you know, nobody called for the military to be in. Bitch, do you want your police getting attacked by the motherfucking rocks and people who just have chisels and all the rest of this shit? They got riot gear. They had to bust everything out. But guess what? They realized that LAPD or Orange County Sheriff or whoever was in charge of that was overwhelmed. Respectfully. They were overwhelmed as a city police department because guess what? When those police officers were trapped under the 101 freeway and about 6 cars were laid there and they were throwing bricks at them and they were shooting up those those smoke grenades and flash bang grenades and everything else, those people weren't turning back. LAPD was overwhelmed. Maybe they needed the National Guard. And I'm not justifying it, but I'm going to be for real with y'all. Did y'all really see the shit on the streets? Some people said the bricks, the piles of bricks. Okay, cool. Give them the piles of bricks that are out there. The police were still outmanned, even if it was just 4 or 5 blocks of downtown LA, whatever you say. They weren't going to ask for help, but they needed it. Respectfully. And that's the part where Democrats actually say, you know what, if you look at it, how can we support this right now? We can support the fact of it being inhumane for not having due process and things of that nature, but it's a losing argument. Nobody called for the military. Nobody called for the National Guard. So we're just going to let the local police no! You know what the fuck was happening when Trump beat this guy on the screen, Tim Walz and Kamala Harris? You knew what the fuck was going to happen. Sorry for cussing. I've been doing good today. Come on, man.
Illegal alien who had been convicted for possession of child pornography.
Very true, Mercer.
Computer. Do you still stand by your statement that ICE agents are the modern-day Gestapo?
ICE agents need to do a job, but they need to do it within the realm of due process and the law, wearing masks, no notice of who they are, no notice of the vans, and picking people up off the streets without that due process. I stand that is wrong and a road towards authoritarianism. I certainly stand by that.
Very true.
I have one rule. I have a couple rules in my office. One of them is never compare anything dealing with the Holocaust except for the Holocaust. I think that it desensitizes people about what really went on.
It didn't seem like they did
in Nazi Germany by making any comparisons there. Does Minnesota receive federal tax dollars for any programs that assist illegal immigrants?
Minnesota.
Hey, Daniel, I appreciate you, bro. I'm just trying to be real. Just give my perspective as someone who works in the process.
We use state dollars under our laws.
During the Biden administration, nearly $1.5 billion was sent to sanctuary states to pay for their illegal immigration policies, housing, health care. Governor Hochul, Are crimes committed by illegal aliens preventable, in your opinion?
Yeah.
Our law enforcement is highly trained in how to identify prospective perpetrators, but certainly we try to prevent crimes, and we also work to resolve them and make sure that if there's a crime committed, that people
Okay.
find their time in court and are incarcerated. That's
Yes,
how it's
ma'am.
always worked.
By definition, are illegal aliens are unlawfully present in the United
Jay,
States.
that's what you heard?
They should not be.
How do I add a
here
mod?
In the first place to commit
Oh,
crimes.
yeah.
Would you agree with
Let me
that?
add you as a mod, man.
Depends on the circumstances of coming over. I mean, there's civil
Go ahead, Jane.
violations, there's also criminals. So it's the federal government's determination on the status of an individual.
I'm
If
going to
they're
add you and a
if they're-
couple of the others out here as mods real soon. Don't worry.
I think if there was
If
not
they're
a
not going to
single,
be here, ma'am, the crime is not going to be committed.
if there was
a
no one
young
in our
man whose
country, no
fam-
crimes would be committed, I suppose you could say the same thing.
No.
A young man in my district whose family is very close to me lost their son to an illegal alien. And I can guarantee you, if that illegal alien, if we'd followed the laws of the land and there'd been some enforcement, that young man would be here today. Well, let me ask you this. Why did your state issue the say that you are welcome with open arms in reference to illegal aliens? That was a direct quote attributed to you, ma'am.
It's a 400-year history we have in the state of New York of
Gotcha,
welcoming
boss.
all. I don't know why we would change that now.
Okay, Governor Pritzker.
Thank you, Jade.
You
You're
mentioned
keeping it
in your
real on the
opening
stream.
statement your
Real
criminals
quick,
have-
Jade. Thank you for earlier when I had the young man on the stream, and I saw that, hey, it's like Diddy shit. I'm like, what the fuck you talking about? But then I did think about, like, you know what? Even though I do want to hear a kid's perspective and the younger generation's perspective on politics and get them educated better. Forget the young brother's name. Thought it would be. Let me check my DMs. Don't get his name right. But either way, thank you for what you did, calling me out. Be like, hey, bro, like whatever. Get young dude off the screen, Bryson. Get Bryson off the screen. So thank you for that. You deserved not a super chat, but whatever. I just made you admin to make sure that we get the bottoms out of here, the racism out of here. You one of them ones. We're gonna make sure we have a good solid stream every time. I appreciate you, my brother.
I'll tell you, 17 days later, he was charged with a homicide. And in Cook County, he also released a migrant charged with domestic violence in August of 2024. You know what this individual was charged with 1 month later?
No, sir, I'm not sure what.
Aggravated criminal sexual assault and abuse of minor. And as governor, have you done anything to ensure local and county governments aren't releasing illegal immigrants charged with sexual or violent crimes?
As a matter of
Listen,
fact,
a lot of this
first of
wouldn't
all,
happen
we
in
chase
Florida
down
for real.
criminals every single day. We put them in jail. We try them, put them through due process. They get convicted. They get put into our correction system. We do that every single day. You're implying that we're not. We are. In fact, our law enforcement are some of the best in the country. They do their.
I'm waiting on AOC or Jasmine Crockett. For real, then I'm gonna end this stream. I got some errands to run. I gotta pick my son up, and I'll be back on tonight around 9:30.
It's illegal immigrants.
Sir, we've created programs to deal with not illegal. I mean, we have one program that's related to.
Yeah, Morgan. I got a couple others I'm gonna add tonight.
undocumented
Some other mods,
I'm out
DD,
of time.
Johnson.
The answer is at least four. Health benefits for immigrants, HBIS, health benefits for immigrants, adults, HBI, retention of Illinois students, and equity RISE is the acronym for that act in the Illinois.
Yeah, Crockett drive the numbers up like Bill Trump do.
Chairman, now you
I gotta be real. My
Sure,
girl.
Mr. Min.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to.
Girl, drive the
title
numbers
of the
up.
article that I was trying to read into unanimous consent.
Okay.
Stunning. Senator Alex Padilla, California, was just forcefully removed from the news conference being held by DHS Kristi Noem in Westwood. Senator attempted to interrupt
That's the
Noem.
title?
He was handcuffed in the hallway. Yes. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, he rushed the podium. He was being disruptive, and that is not conducive to
A senator
member
was
of elected
forcefully
body.
shoved
Thank you,
to the
Mr.
ground and
All
arrested.
right,
by
order.
passive
Chair recognizes Mr. Min from California.
I just want to follow up my Republican colleague's comments since he's talking so much about sexual assault and note that our current president was found civilly liable for sexual assault. I also want to note that Elon Musk, and for the record, just want to note that Elon Musk, who was once part of this administration, not so long ago, accused the president of being part of the Epstein files. So all of great interest and something perhaps we should look into some oversight on. But governors, I want to ask you a few questions. Please raise your hand if your state has any laws or policies that prevent ICE from enforcing federal immigration laws? Note for the record that no one has their hand up. Governors, please raise your hand if
I'll be
you're
right
aware
back,
of
Chad.
any laws or policies
Take a little
that
bathroom
prevent
break.
federal authorities from
smoke break.
enforcing immigration laws in any
I'm
city or state in the United States.
hold on. I'm gonna turn this down. I'm gonna be watching the stream from my phone. I'm gonna make this full screen for what it is. I'm just gonna take a break, a little smoke break. Be right back. Then I gotta run some errands, like I said. But hopefully, my girl Jasmine Crockett will come in. I'm gonna have to put the cigarette down, even though it's not a cigarette. The backwood. Put the backwood down to come on back when she speaks. But either way, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. Thank you for taking your afternoon with your boy, the hip hop lobbyist. Again, if you just got here, I'm a professional lobbyist in the state of Florida. I've been doing politics for 15 years. I've helped elect members to Congress, put constitutional amendments on the ballot, change laws. And the whole time they were banning African American history and AP African American studies in Florida, I was able to work for African American urban cultures and nonprofits and making sure that they were equally taken care of by getting them a seat at the table. So when we're talking about policies and things of that nature, I'm not just spinning the block on whatever the Democrats or Republicans are saying. What I want to do is help educate people. And right now I'm cutting off Congressman Min from asking his questions, but it does seem like, respectfully, the good old Democrat from California, 47th District, is just going to talk the talking points. So I'm going to say what I got to say. Thank you. Thank you for taking out your time out of your day again to be here with your boy. Jade is the first mod I've made on this channel. We'll add Dee, Johnny 5, and a couple others later tonight, 9:30. Most likely, I've been trying to quietly come up with a consistent streaming schedule. It's been tough. I'm a full-time father, full-time husband, full-time entrepreneur, I have full-time clients, and a full-time wife. And if you have a wife out there who never knows what she wants to eat, you already know that on top of everything that you do in life, that is a number one priority every day of your life. Regardless of the fact, I appreciate y'all tapping in for the stream. I'm going to take a quick break, just step away from the desk, get back to Governor Walz here who's speaking. But again, thank y'all for subscribing to the channel. And real quick, we started off this stream, again, in April, 300 subscribers. My last stream, we got over 1,000, hit 2,900. And we were right around 3,000. And today, hold on, having to refresh. 3,300 subscribers. I want to thank each and every one of y'all. Over 33,600. Oh, sorry, 3,368 subs. Y'all are amazing. Channel fully monetized. I finally got my first $100. But either way, I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna take a break. Thank y'all for subscribing and being here with your boy. I'm gonna keep it real as long as I can, as long as God gives me breath. But either way, I'm gonna yield to the governors. Take my little break. I'll be back though.
Illinois National Guard in Poland. We have the largest Polish American population in the country, and very proudly, our National Guard serve all over the world.
I'll be right back,
in fact, as part of our military to protect our nation.
And so Title 10, Section 12406 allows the president to deploy National Guard troops when the United States is being invaded, when there is a rebellion, or when the president is unable with regular forces to execute the laws of the United States. Do you believe that the protests in Los Angeles or the ICE raids qualify for any of these particular provisions?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. And you're aware that Governor Newsom did not make any request to President Trump to federalize the California National Guard?
He did not. In fact, he rejected it.
And so this is illegal. It does not comply with the bases for deployment. It was done against the express wishes of Governor Newsom. Now, I want to highlight a key point that my Republican colleagues across the aisle should keep in mind regarding the federalization process of National Guard units. Even under Title 10, these troops may not be used for law enforcement purposes. And what we are seeing right now is a total violation of that. We are seeing them used to aid ICE raids. And I just want to note that ICE is acting largely as a civil organization at this point in time. Governor Hochul, correct or incorrect, being undocumented in the U.S. is a civil violation, not a criminal offense. Yes or no, please.
I believe most cases are civil. In some cases, the federal government can determine that it's a
criminal violation, right? And correct or incorrect, deploying U.S. Marines to support ICE raids constitutes a law enforcement purpose and non-national security purpose.
It appeals to have crossed the line, given that we have highly trained local law enforcement who are more than capable of handling those situations.
Thank you, and I'll just close with this. There's no rebellion. There's no invasion. Law enforcement has not collapsed. There's no national emergency. What is happening right now is not just unprecedented. It is illegal, and it is very alarming to those of us who care about democracy and the rule of that law. And with that, I yield back. But with unanimous consent, I would ask to introduce this article into the record. Marines to join National Guard troops protecting ICE agents.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you.
Unanimous consent.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record this picture of Senator Padilla being knuckled and looks like he's being arrested and restrained by three police
Okay,
officers. I can't understand.
we'll enter the picture in, without objection to order. Chair recognizes Ms. Mace from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome to the unofficial 2028 Democrat presidential primary right here on stage at the Oversight Committee. Governor Newsom must be seething. The three of you beat him to the stage, but he's a little busy right now defending illegals and defending Antifa, torching what is left of Los Angeles. Governor Walz knows the playbook. In 2020, he rolled out the red carpet for anarchists while Minnesotans watched their neighborhoods burn. You've turned your states into sanctuaries for illegals. You've done more to shield MS-13 than to protect the single mom working 2 jobs in Chicago, Queens, or Minneapolis. And you've worked harder against ICE than with them. So Governor Walz, and boy, does that feel nice to say the word governor, my first question is for you. Did you know the Nazis killed 6 million Jews during the Holocaust? It's a yes or no question. Did you know the Nazis killed 6 million Jews during the Holocaust?
Pushing my button to
Okay.
answer. Yes, I believe that's historic.
Okay, would you agree the Holocaust is the most horrific atrocity in human history? Yes or no?
I think the Holocaust ranks amongst them, yes.
Did you know the Nazi Gestapo imprisoned, tortured, and murdered Jews by the hundreds of thousands and committed genocide against the Jews? Did you know that?
I do know they operated as secret.
Did you know ICE has done none of that? Yes or no?
Operated as a secret police force?
No, that's not the question. Did you know that ICE has not committed genocide against anyone?
Yes, I do know that.
Okay. Do you apologize for your disgusting comparison of ICE to the Gestapo, who killed hundreds of thousands of Jews during the Holocaust?
As a history teacher.
Yes or no is the question.
A historical
You're a
comparison.
governor. You understand what the question is. It's yes or no. Will you apologize for what you said about ICE, comparing them to
I would ask ICE to
Gestapo?
identify who they are when they operate, to not use unmarked.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, this governor, or honorable, can't answer the question. Do you believe the Nuremberg trials were a good exercise in holding the Nazis accountable? Yes or no?
I think due process.
Okay,
is
so
always
are you calling for ICE agents to be brought to a tribunal under the threat of death by comparing them to the Gestapo?
Everyone is afforded due process.
What don't you understand about yes or no? Like, what can't you comprehend about yes or no questions?
I
Do you
understand
still want
being
to
a governor
abolish
is a
ICE?
different
Do you
job.
still want to abolish ICE? Yes or no?
Said I wanted to abolish ICE.
Didn't you march in a rally calling for ICE's abolishment?
Not that I can recall, Congressman.
Well, according to widespread media reports, you did.
And the media is always correct.
How do you rate Kamala Harris's job as border czar? I want a number between 1 and 10. How was she as border czar?
I wouldn't have a way to measure that. I was not in the administration.
Weren't you her running mate for vice president?
As in the campaign.
And you
Wasn't part of
can't
the
rate her role as border czar on a scale of 1 to 10. Was she great at 10 or was she a 1? Terrible.
I think her proposal that she put forward to make sure we had the bipartisan immigration.
It wasn't bipartisan. Did you ever personally speak with Kamala about Joe Biden's cognitive collapse?
Not that I can recall, Congressman.
Not as her running mate for vice president. You never once talked to her about the president and why she was nominated instead of him.
No, not that I can recall.
What kind of operation were you guys running over there?
I was more concerned with Donald Trump's cognitive.
Thank God he's
that
president and J.D. Vance is vice president and not you. Have you ever served in a combat zone, Governor?
I have not, Congresswoman.
Okay. Are you still friends with school shooters?
I have never been a friend with a school shooter.
Didn't you say you were friends with school shooters on the debate stage?
Oh, Congresswoman.
Yeah.
I
Is
think that's very
bullying
evident.
is
As a teacher and a
bullying
parent.
is my mom was a teacher. I'm a high school dropout. We can talk about that later. Is bullying okay?
Is bullying okay as a teacher?
Is bullying okay? Yes or no? Is it okay to bully somebody?
I think
yes
there's
or
a
no?
time to push back at a bully. So yes, I do think there's a time.
So you think it's okay to bully others?
I think it's okay to bully the bully at times.
Well, you're showing that the Democrat Party is a party of violence. Were you at Tiananmen Square?
Have I been to Tiananmen Square? I have.
Were you at Tiananmen Square?
I have been at Tiananmen Square.
When were you there?
Oh, as I recall, January of 1990.
Okay. What is a woman? What is a woman is the question.
I'm not sure I understand the question here.
Well, that,
What
okay.
what do you want me to say? This is,
I want you to say that a woman like me is an adult human female, that men can't become women. You guys are the party of violence, and you're the party erasing women. You don't respect us. You're a bigot. You're a misogynist. You're a sexist. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Congresswoman.
Good lady,
Mr.
back.
Chairman,
Here
I would ask
recognizes Mr.
unanimous consent.
Ocasio-Cortez from New York.
All right, well, that was some kind of bingo going on over there. I don't know what's going on. Anyways.
Oh, I know what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you to the witnesses for coming here today. I apologize for the treatment that the four of you have been subjected to. And Governor Walz, I just have to say, I know you're getting a lot of grief from the majority here, but you know, we are talking about individuals who have cheered on an individual who issued a Nazi salute from behind the presidential seal of the United States of America, who have cheered on the pardoning of individuals who attacked the United States Capitol and flew a Nazi flag and the flag of the Confederacy, traitors to the United States, sworn enemies of the United States of America, through the capital of this nation. And now they want to act offended because someone has the courage to say, if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, maybe it's a duck. So I want to thank you for not wavering to their bullying, which is unconscionable and sad to see. So I just wanted to let you know that, Governor. Thank you.
thank you, Congresswoman.
To the three of you, Governor Walz, Governor Pritzker, and Governor Hochul, you three have each sworn an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, correct? I'll start with you.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I have.
And I imagine that also includes the Fourth and Fifth Amendment protections for due process and the rule of law.
It does.
Sure does.
Yes.
And that means protecting your people in your states, U.S. citizens and every individual, because that is what makes America great, that we are a land of the free and of rule of law, to protect them from infringements of their civil liberties, correct? Now, what we are seeing is a pattern where ICE is breaking the law. We have the detention of a U.S. citizen who has been detained by immigration officials. We have ICE here that has also blamed and arrested U.S. citizens for being simply suspected of being an immigrant, largely because of their appearance. In January, a Chicago-based U.S.-born citizen, Julio Noriega, was arrested by ICE and held in custody for over 10 hours. In April, a Florida Highway Patrol officer pulled over Juan Carlos Lopez Gomez, a United States-born citizen, and arrested him on suspicion of being in the country illegally. He had his real ID, his Social Security card, his mother presented his birth certificate, and they still didn't let him go. In May, U.S. citizen Leonardo Garcia Venegas was filming an ICE raid. He was arrested by ICE. In May, a veteran and U.S. citizen who is Puerto Rican, was detained during an ICE raid at his workplace in New York City. That's called a paper bag test. And your job, Governor Hochul, is to protect people from that kind of infringement, correct?
Yes.
Because all of us must adhere to the law, and no one is above it. So if a U.S. citizen tries to break the law, or if an ICE officer tries to break the law, your job is to uphold the law, correct?
We absolutely uphold the laws of the United States Constitution and the Constitution of the State of New York.
And sanctuary states are about U.S. citizens as well, having sanctuary against the attacks on our constitutional rights from illegal search and seizure. There is nothing preventing ICE from issuing a warrant and you having complete compliance with their request. Correct, Governor Hochul?
We comply in cases where there's been criminal activity alleged. Yes, we always do. But we're not involved in civil immigration enforcement because our state police that I control have to deal with other crimes that they're solving.
And apologies, I just have 10 seconds left. But when they say illegal versus legal immigration, they are trying to end legal status in the United States as well. Correct, Governor Pritzker, with the end of TPS and making people undocumented by removing legal status, ending legal status, and then having the audacity to call them illegal when they were here documented, correct?
Taking students' visas away from people, taking their legal right to be in the United States away from them when they've been granted maybe years earlier to stay.
So I don't want to hear about how this is about illegal versus legal immigration. They are attacking legal status. The Republican majority is anti-legal immigration in the United States. I want to make that very clear, and I yield back.
Chair now recognizes
Mr. Chair, unanimous consent request.
Mr. Frost.
Unanimous consent request into the record a NBC article, Senator Alex Padilla removed from news conference with Homeland Security Secretary Noem.
All right, without objection to order.
I have another one, the Hill article, Padilla forcibly removed from Noem press conference.
Without objection to order.
And I have a third one, Axios, Democratic Senator forcibly removed from DHS press conference.
Without objection to order.
Mr. Chair, also, we were just talking about this. I want to know if you can commit to working with us so we can subpoena.
You're out of order. Chair recognizes
I have
Ms.
a point
Greene
of, I have a point of order.
No.
I have a point of order.
State your point.
We need to subpoena.
That's not
Secretary
a point of order.
Noem.
Chair recognizes
We
Ms.
just talked
Greene
about this
That's not a
earlier.
point.
We talked
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time.
To the ground.
Reclaiming my time.
And handcuffed.
Oh, Democrats can't follow the rules. Can't follow the law. Can't follow the rules. Can't follow the law.
Subpoena Kristi Noem. It's her staff, DHS federal
There's a
officers
privilege of
that
the
threw a
majority,
US
and that
senator
means
to the
we're in
ground.
charge,
Just
not your
this morning we were
side.
talking about this.
Because
Max
you
Frost,
feel
let
like
go, Frost.
We're going to start the
because
clock.
you
have
supported
anything
the
to say about
invasion
that?
of our country.
All right.
It's my
Big
time.
Frost, it's getting cold out here. He about to get taken out of here to watch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr.
Good
Chairman.
on, Frost.
You're out of order. Chair
Pine
recognizes
Hills,
Ms.
baby.
Greene.
Commit on the record.
you.
Pine Hills, baby.
Subpoenaing Kristi Noem because
Pine
a US
Hills.
senator was just
Listen,
thrown
listen,
to the ground and detained in his
Oh,
own
yeah,
Democrats
look.
can't follow the rules.
out of
Can't
order.
We
follow
Elder
the
Pine
law.
Hills, baby.
Can't follow the
Shut
rules.
up. Just shut up.
No, you don't. No,
shut
you're
up.
not going to tell me to shut up.
Let's what?
Pine Hills, gangster.
You're running for this.
Not like that.
He has been out of order 6 times. He's trying to get on MSNBC. You probably
Somebody else
not.
up.
Get it. Somebody off
I don't have any problem
MSNBC
getting
to
on
get on there.
MSNBC. That's
Ms.
not
Greene.
Pine Hills.
She's
Arrested as a
recognized.
former
Yeah.
Antifa.
Pine Hills.
Back to order,
Antifa.
Ms. Greene. Go.
Pine Hills.
Right, Ms.
Antifa
Greene.
member.
You're
Mr.
recognized.
Chairman.
Pine Hills.
Who's a former Antifa member? Me?
Yeah,
Let's go.
You.
I asked that these words be taken down.
No, Ms. Greene.
I missed that one.
You're
I
recognized.
asked that
Thank
these
you,
words
Mr.
be taken
Chairman.
down.
There's a motion.
Governor
Ms.
Hochul.
Greene is recognized.
Governor
I asked that
Hochul,
these
you
words be
stated
taken down.
that you're a proud Democrat, proud registered
All right,
Democrat.
we got to
needs to
suspend.
retract.
There's been a parliamentary move. They said they weren't going to do that. What's the?
Just ask her
Hey.
what she said.
Hey. Being committees lit like, hey, this is really happening? Yes. Would you subscribe to this? Would you subscribe to a Real Housewives, a Real Congress, Housewives of America? Would you watch?
And while we're suspending, we have votes in about 7 minutes. We're going to try to get 3 more questioners in, then we'll
Listen, this is
break
live.
for, I think there are 4 votes, and we'll come back right after the last vote. We don't have that many more questioners, so.
I don't know what the parliamentary procedure they're bringing up is, but this is pretty lit right now. Really lit. They're suspended for procedure right now. Now, listen, I'm gonna tell you this. Max Frost came in with that shit. But here's where I'm at. We've been streaming for how long? About 3 hours? 3 hours plus? What's OBS say? About 3.5 hours. I gotta tap out. I got some listen. This thing done turned up. I'm telling you now. Tune in to NBC, Forbes, wherever. Watch the rest of this. I got some answers around. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. This is your boy, the Hip Hop Lobbyist. Got some real stuff. Real shout out. I know my Red Sox people was out here, man. Red Sox. I need a haircut too. This helps make the hairline edge a little better. Thank y'all for tapping into the stream. I'll be back on later tonight, 9:30. I think 9:30 is gonna be the main slot that we do. I was tired last night. I was trying to stream, but I couldn't even get up out of bed after I put my son to sleep. Either way, thank everybody for tapping in today for the stream, watching President Trump's signing the new law into the new environmental piece into law, banning California's EV mandate. Basically saying, like, listen, we are going nowhere with the gas cars, and ending that. Hold on, Marjorie Greene's back. I'm not going nowhere yet. Hold on, she back.
A voting rights rally.
Okay.
What?
Without objection?
Proudly.
All right. Chair recognizes Ms. Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Governor Hochul, you stated that you're a proud registered Democrat.
Yes, I did. Is that illegal now, too, in your country?
Oh, shit.
Governor Hochul, this is not a laughing matter. You also stated that you swore an oath to uphold the laws of New York. And one of the laws that you have upheld and proudly kept in place is the executive order signed by former Governor Andrew Cuomo that directs that no state officers or employees, including law enforcement officers, shall disclose information to federal immigration authorities for the purpose of federal civil immigration enforcement unless required by law. And because of your state's policies of paying for flights of illegal aliens, we ended up with Jose Ibarra in our state of Georgia. And I'm a mother of 3 children, and two out of my 3, I have 2 daughters. And you're a mother, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Johnny 5 in the building.
You've got 2 children, and you have 1 daughter, is that right?
That is correct.
Dee here in the building. I gotta make y'all mods too.
Mothers, and there's one mother that I wish could be here today and could talk to you instead of me, and that's Allison Phillips. That's Laken Riley's mother. And we talked about Laken a few minutes ago, and there's a really special bond between mothers and daughters, and we speak with our daughters daily. We speak with our daughters all day long. We speak with our daughters about every single thing that's happening in our lives and every single thing that's happening in their lives. And I want you to know the last time that Laken Riley and her mother, Allison Phillips, tried to talk to each other, and that happened to be in the morning when Laken was getting ready to go out and go for her morning jog. And on the morning of her murder, at 8:55 a.m., Riley texted her mother and said, "Good morning, about to go for a run, if you're free to talk." And I can tell you that's something I do with my girls, and they text me, and I'm sure you and your daughter text each other as well.
I got you, bro. Appreciate you. I saw your comment, man. I appreciate you.
But she didn't get her mother, and then Riley called her mother just a few minutes later at 9:03 a.m. as she was starting to listen to music, but she didn't get her mom on the phone. And the trail cam actually captured her going out for her run at 9:05 a.m. At 9:11, Laken called 911. This was just not but a few minutes after she had tried to call her mother.
I'm going to change my banner on.
And then at 9:24,
my banner on YouTube.
Laken received a call from her mother, but it went unanswered. And at 9:28, Laken's heart stopped. And according to the smartwatch, the data of her smartwatch, Laken fought for her life for 17 minutes. 17 minutes. 17 minutes, this little girl fought for her life as she was being beat in the head by this monster, as she was being strangled by this monster, as she was being almost raped by this monster and drug off into the woods. She fought for her life for 17 minutes, and her mom tried to call during that time. And it was only a few minutes after she had tried to call her mother. And I think as mothers, not politicians, this is something that we should easily share with Allison Phillips. So when we are talking about the laws in place and the policies that we uphold as elected leaders in this country, do you know who we should be thinking about? We should be thinking about our daughters. And the fact that, look, everybody can fight all day long, Democrat, Republican. I got to tell you, though, it's so much bullshit when it comes down to the fact that this little girl fought for 17 minutes of the end of her 22-year-old life. The end of her 22-year-old life. And Governor Hochul, for the love of God, as you are a proud, registered Democrat, I don't know how on earth you can uphold laws that protect and give aid and comfort to monsters, especially one that was arrested in your state and let go because of your policies in your state. And I can't comprehend it, Mr. Chairman, just one more second. Laken Riley and her mother deserve to have one last chat. Like, you know what? Me and you get to have chats with our daughters. Mr. Chairman, I yield.
Yield back. They've called votes. We're going to try to get 2 more questions in. I'll recognize Mr. Davis from Illinois and then Ms. Luna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I thank you and the ranking member for letting me wave on to this hearing. I want to thank all of the witnesses, all of the governors who've been here and who've been here all day. But I also want to thank you, Governor Pritzker, for the outstanding leadership you have provided to the state of Illinois. Our state is characterized as being progressive and humane. Could you share why we think that's important, you as governor and I as a citizen resident?
Well, we had to do a lot of reform of our state government in order to get there, but it's important to me that we provide health care, that we provide education for all of our people, that we have
down a bit. Because, you know, it's the balance. You got the Republican talking point, you have the Democrat. In our state legislature, sometimes we'll have debates scheduled. Democrats, the pros will get their piece, the cons will get theirs, both sides of the bill, right? For a lot of time, but, you know, it's just there. But to the main point, had to get that Marjorie Taylor Greene part in. Thank y'all for tapping in. Johnny 05, Dee, new mods. Appreciate y'all tapping in. Either way, I've got some things to do, real bills to pay, errands to run, things of that nature, right? Thank y'all for tapping in for today's stream. Guess what? 9:30 tonight we'll be locked in. Oh, damn, I spilled my water. Damn. So, 9:30 tonight we'll be locked in. You see the new banner behind me? Wife got it for Christmas. We finally got it tapped into me. Oh, shit. It's all up there. Anyway, so still redoing the office. We're still building it out and building a community while we're doing it together here as a team, right? So thank y'all for taking time out of your day to tap in with me the last 3.5 hours. Really do appreciate it. I will be back in tonight once my son goes to sleep. And I'll be honest with you. The thing is, being a full-time dad is exhausting sometimes, right? Like, my son's full-blown toddler. So it's by the time he goes on 8:30, 9 o'clock, lays, put his hand down, whatever, I'd be laying down going to sleep right with him. And I'm like, damn, I got to get up for the stream. I got to, you know, I know Johnny 05, Dee, and Tammy, and everybody's looking at me, have a good vibe on the stream or whatever. I'd be asleep. And I woke up at 1 in the morning. I'm like, bro, I just need to work. There's real work that happens outside the stream. Either way, thank y'all for tapping in. I'll be back 9:30. I'll schedule it so y'all have somewhere to wait and go see and all that other good stuff. But I'll see y'all tonight, man. Have a good one. In the stream here.